Right, welcome back to the party, everybody. I am your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe. You know I would do it for you, and let's party. Big shout out to the replay gang. Thank you so much for coming back to watch this, even though you missed the live party. Guys, that is the best part, so make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, and sometimes whenever I feel like it. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and you will never miss an Indian Jesus live party ever again. Let's also say thank you to mysickshirt.com, the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch. Only at mysickshirt.com. All right. Let's party. So, I mean, unfortunately, of course, I just did a test stream in 1080 because it wasn't working on Kick, and it did fine, but I guess with all the other destinations. Anyway, there's nothing else going on but Israel and Palestine, Israel, Hamas, whatever you want, however you want to categorize it. And I think we had a really good show with Jerkalani and Frosthound the other day. And there's, I feel like I would be remiss if we weren't really, looking into the depths of this conflict. But I don't want to get too, down in the weeds and too academic. So we are going to be checking out part of the problem with Dave Smith. If you're not familiar, he is a hilarious libertarian stand-up comic and very, very, very well read on this stuff. So he's got a bunch of clips and he and his co-host are also Jewish. So let's get into it. As always, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
We need to roll back the state. We spy on all of our own citizens. Our prisons are flooded with nonviolent drug offenders. If you want to know who America's next enemy is, look at who we're funding right now. Every single one of these problems are a result of government being way too big.
You're listening to Part of the Problem on the Gas Digital Network. Here's your host, Dave Smith.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Part of the Problem. I am Dave Smith. He is preemptively hiding out Anne Frank style in an attic somewhere. Robbie the Fire Bernstein, this was a smart thing for you to do following the day of jihad. You got right up to where that attic where you belong.
You got to practice your hiding out in the attic skills now while you can.
Where are you?
Don't tell him. So obviously, they were talking about Global Day of Jihad on Friday. So I guess this was recorded on Saturday. Hey, he's back. The Golden Bear himself, Nicholas Lucetti, is back. Welcome to the party, brother. So glad to see that you are alive and well, man. I mean, since Nick found the channel, I don't think he's missed a single stream. And so when like 3 or 4 or 5 streams and he wasn't around and he wasn't in Discord, we're all like, yo, is Nick okay? Like, hit him up. Make sure he's good. But we got a hold of him. Welcome to the party, Nick. Very, very glad to see that you are not, in fact, dead. We got Soul to Soul in the building. Welcome to the party. Good to see you.
This is a freshly purchased attic, so I've made my accommodations. I got my food storage here. I'm good to ride out jihad. They can do all the jihading they want.
Rob sold his home and bought an attic. He was just a fair swap. He was like, I'm going to be just fine here. All right.
You got to get through 3 floors of Goyim before you get up to this attic.
All right, there you go. All right. Anyway, before we get into the show tonight, me and Robbie the Fire Bernstein are coming to Europe. London, Belfast, Glasgow, Amsterdam.
Go check them out if you are fans of comedy. Shout out to Indie Film. Welcome to the party. So are they making fun of the murder of Anne Frank and her family and the Holocaust?
Of course.
Absolutely. But they're both Jewish, so it's okay. But welcome to the party, Indie Film. Good to see you, brother.
We're coming all over the place. ComicDaveSmith.com. Go there to buy tickets. The tickets are selling very fast, but there are still some available. So go on over to ComicDaveSmith.com if you want to come see us next week when we're out in Europe. Looking forward to that.
Live Run Your Mouth
show. You get a free ticket. If there's a way to make that happen,
knows how to build a
side. But I don't think the Dutch are pretty to talk about today. I want to start the show with something unrelated to Israel-Palestine, but of course we're going to get back into the war over there because
So Nick says, "Thank you, buddy. I didn't mean to worry y'all. Glad to be here instead of dealing with life's BS. Very, very, very glad that it's just some life BS that we all got to deal with from now and then. And I'm sure it sucks, but I'm not lying to you. We were definitely worried. So so glad that you are you're okay and that you are here ready to party."
Because it's kind of impossible to not talk about that right now. But there was a moment that I missed. I just caught it. I just caught the clip of this on Twitter. It was pretty amazing. Rob has not seen this yet. I'm excited for you to see this in real time here. But so Panetta, the former CIA director, was on Fox News Sunday, and a question was asked to him that me and Rob have been dying to see somebody in the corporate press ask this question. And it was asked to him. And so here that's all the setup I'll give you.
So I'll give a little bit more setup in the sense that they specifically have talked about the question that we're about to see over and over and over and over again. And even though this is Fox News, it's still mainstream corporate cable media.
Here's the question. Here's the response.
On the speaker, but they're investigating still the Hunter Biden situation. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about that letter you signed on to from former intelligence officials saying that the laptop and the emails had all the classic earmarks of a Russian information operation. Obviously, the New York Post and others saying the Hunter Biden laptop letter was the
real. So let's pause it right there. So now you know, now the secret's been lifted. Finally, one of the people who signed on to this letter is asked point blank, how do you feel about that now? I mean, you signed onto this letter that this laptop had all the earmarks of Russian disinformation. That didn't age too well. Now, he was also one of the guys. He was one of the four former heads of the CIA who Biden would make sure to mention that. So anyway, he gets asked the question point blank. Let's keep playing.
And we know it's going to be such a juicy answer, right? He's going to give us exactly what we need.
That letter was used in the debate. I haven't asked you this, but do you have regrets about that now looking back?
Do you have regrets about signing a letter that said the Hunter Biden laptop very likely was Russian disinformation, given how impactful that was? Shout out to Steve. Welcome to the party. Said Fox News is like a pipeline from Republican to Democrat. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Hola, welcome to the party. Hey, we've also got Teach 23 in the building. Welcome to the party. Yeah, I love Dave Smith. I wish that he would have run for president. I don't care how far he would have made it. I don't care. I absolutely would have voted for him. Absolutely. Over Trump? Absolutely. Now, he's not running, so let's go Trump. But hell yeah. And so again, just asking, do you regret maybe signing this letter that was completely false?
Knowing what you know now.
Well, Brett, look, I was extremely concerned about Russian interference and misinformation.
That's not what was the question that was asked. It was specifically about this letter, about specifically this laptop.
And we all know it. Intelligence agencies discovered that Russia had continued to push disinformation across the board. And my concern was to kind of alert the public to be aware that these disinformation efforts went on. And frankly, I haven't seen any evidence from any intelligence agency that that was not the case.
So now he switches from this specific laptop to, well, there is Russian disinformation. Hey, shout out to the sick man himself, Dan Cabrera. Welcome to the party, brother. Hope you are feeling all right. CT says he had to go to Skankfest and go on his comedy tour. He's a comedian first. Indeed. I caught a little bit of, it was a clip from somewhere, but I'm dying to see him live because he does bring a lot of this political stuff into his act. And because he's so in the weeds and because he's a hardcore libertarian, then it's high level.
You don't think that it was real?
I think that disinformation is involved here. I think Russian disinformation is part of what we're seeing everywhere. I don't trust the Russians, and that's exactly why I was concerned that the public not trust the Russians either.
I don't want to dwell on this because we have bigger things to talk about and bigger urgency. But obviously, Hunter Biden said it was his laptop and this investigation.
You can tell that even he's a little like surprised by that answer, and he's like, I don't want to dwell on this because like my job here isn't to make you look bad, my job's to get you over. But
yeah, this is supposed to be, again, even though it's Fox News, this is supposed to be a puff piece, and clearly, you know, they have their backroom deals. And even what is his name, Brett Bauer, is just like, that's a bad answer, let's just move on.
Even Hunter Biden has admitted this was his laptop. All right, I guess we'll just go with that. So there you have it. I've wondered before, I'm sure you have too, like what would
guys, can I get just two more likes, please? That's it. Thank you so much.
They say if asked about this, and that's the amazing thing, is how much you're like, no matter what happens, these people will just never admit it. They'll dig their heels in, they'll come up with some rationalization, and then when they can't even do that, they'll just go, no, it's still Russian disinformation.
Well, he actually didn't say that. He's very slippery, and it's an interesting maneuver. But he said he took the opportunity to educate the public about Russian misinformation because Russian information is a constant threat, and it's always all around us. And he's leaving it open
everywhere.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. So yeah, I mean, the fact that the lab, well, let's not worry about that. The fact is, I don't trust the Russians. Therefore, you lied. So it's okay to lie. It's okay to lie if you think you have a higher purpose. Steve says, I like Dave Smith. I wish he'd replace George Bush. Hell yeah, either one. Or even Obama. Yeah, either one. That would have been awesome. But hey, I mean, there's still some time. He can still run.
Interpretation that there still could have been Russian involvement, but that's not what he's saying. What he's saying is, yeah, the laptop, that wasn't Russian misinformation, but I took the opportunity of the laptop story to educate everyone about the Russian misinformation.
Well, he goes a little bit further than that, where he goes, I still haven't seen any evidence that there wasn't Russian involvement.
You can always assume that anything, no matter how factual it is, I think the fact that we breathe oxygen, that's Russian misinformation, because no one's told me that it's not Russian.
I've never seen any evidence that it's not. Right? Yeah, that's a good, what an interesting standard. But I love just Brett Baer kind of mumbling at the end to go, I mean, Hunter Biden has admitted that it's his laptop, but okay.
Let's not dwell on it.
And this is why I titled or not titled, but in the thumbnail, I used "It's okay to lie," because that's the theme of tonight. Even though we're going to be talking about a lot of this Israel and Hamas stuff, the point is to highlight how far down this road of, well, politicians be politicians, that we've actually gone. How far down this road where, in a certain sense, Trump really did help in a bad way for this to happen, to just be brash. But it's just so blatant. The lies. They don't even try to hide it anymore. So Zippy is talking about the running poll right now. The running poll. Replay gang, I would like answers in the comments. Which conflict worries you more? Israel and Hamas, or Ukraine and Russia? And I have we'll come to the perspective that I was using to ask the question in a moment. But let me know: Israel and Hamas, or Ukraine and Russia? CT said he's young. He could be down for it in 10 years. Yeah, I mean, he really doesn't want to do it. But there's just not a lot of people in the Mises Caucus who are, charismatic enough to do anything. And it's not like we expect that a libertarian candidate is going to win the presidency. The point is to get far enough that you can have enough of a following that you can make demands of the bigger parties and say, like, okay, well, you can't do that. Otherwise, we're going to throw our support to the other guys. Shout out to Splits. Welcome to the party. So as someone with a loved one in Israel right now, I get to hear stories that the Western media won't tell. And in that sense, the inhumanity concerns me. What if this were to happen to America?
Bingo.
That, I'll just tell you right now, that is where my mind was going with the question. When I'm asking about which conflict worries you more, it's not about the world over, is the world going to end? I think more realistically, we can see one or both of these conflicts. I don't know if escalating is the right word, but getting to a point where we have enemy insurgents inside the United States who want to blow shit up. We just had Global Day of Jihad. So I'm right there with you, Splits. I am right there with you. Hey, we got Bon Zig in the building. Welcome to the party. Good to see ya. Zibby says, doesn't help that Israel disarmed its people. Yeah, there's a lot going on. There is a lot going on.
I mean, we're a news station and you're making shocking claims.
We have more important things. And obviously, like he's got him there to talk about the war in Israel and Palestine. But it's just like, he's like, look, we have more important things than to figure out if our intelligence agencies are interfering in our elections.
Nobody really cares.
Not at all, right?
But we don't have to like waste time with that. There's probably like a weather balloon we could spend 6 weeks on.
I was surprised the lie wasn't the general population and news agencies were confused about what the word earmark means. An earmark means the possibility or that it's got the characteristic and features. And so at no point in time are we actually saying that this was created by the Russians. We were just letting the public know that the Russians are clearly involved in the process.
Yeah, see, this is the type of propaganda that you would get maybe 10 years ago, where they would wrap whatever they want in a silly lie that is very easily debunked, but most people are just not paying enough attention to look into it and be like, oh, wait a minute, that's not supposed to be how it is. Now they don't even try. Hey, shout out to Steve for the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. And of course, every donation comes with a treat for Morty. Gonna get it, boy. Eat it. There we go. So I'm trying to keep you on camera, brother. Thank you. What does Steve say? Says, here you go, bro. I appreciate your content. Keep it up. Thank you, sir. I definitely will. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. You guys know when we get a new sponsor, I like to dive right back in. Thank you very much, Steve.
And this had some of the qualities of what but we were never saying that this was Biden's laptop. You guys misinterpreted us. I would have thought that would have been the lie.
Yeah, I would have thought it would just be something better than still sticking with this isn't the guy's laptop who is admitting that it's his laptop. Not only that, didn't he threaten to sue? I think Hunter threatened to sue over releasing the laptop at one.
Yep. He was like, hey, that's my laptop. It's like, no, that waiver you signed, it's not yours anymore, bro. And don't think daddy really wants you bringing this up any more than you need to.
One point. Like he was like, hey, that's my laptop. You can't just release that out to the public. And then they were like, oh no, the problem is that you signed this waiver at the repair store. So it's actually not yours anymore. You forfeited it over to the guy. But when he threatened to sue, it was like, well, that's a pretty big admission that it's yours. Right. Anyway, I thought that was kind of just a very revealing and a little kind of lighthearted and fun compared to some of the other stuff we've been talking about. So I wanted to play that video for everybody. I very much did enjoy that.
It's a remarkable thing to let him off the hook for excuse me, sir, but that altered the course of the last election. During the live debate, Donald Trump, I think they said that they censored him essentially and said, you're lying about this. Mm-hmm. One of the largest news papers on record was removed from the internet off the basis of this report by these intelligence people. So
we think it might be maybe kind of a little bit of something. So just get rid of it. The oldest newspaper in the entire country. Now I know we've gone over this a million times, but come on. There's still people who will say that without that Biden still would have won. Like really?
Come on, man.
Nick says, by the way, congratulations on 2K. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And of course, you were one of the very, very early ones. Very much appreciated. So he says, boys will be boys because they're bored. Politicians lie because they are evil. Yup.
What happened here?
Yes, you.
How do you get it wrong?
You change the trajectory of the history of this country in a pretty profound way by lying. So what do you think about that? Do you regret that? And he's like, well, no, because
he might as well just say, because I did my job well. We here in the deep state were opposed to Donald Trump because we need war abroad at all times.
Wouldn't that be so
he didn't create enough new wars. So I did my part in ensuring that we got a deep state kook back into office so we could have more wars.
We are one step away. We are one step away from them actually just saying that. The non-answer that this guy gave is one step away from, well, hey, I'm just doing my job. I'm supposed to be, getting the status quo back. We're one step away from that. As long as we don't continue to not question this kind of stuff, one step away.
And look at and he goes, and look at the results. I mean, we got this whole Ukraine fiasco going on. We're about to fund another war in Israel. We never would have had action like this under Trump, right? Like it would be so refreshing if he just came out and said that. Be like, do I regret it? It worked. The goal was to get Trump out, and we did.
He's like, you don't understand.
I mean, how do you argue with that? How do you argue with that? They wanted Trump gone. They wanted more war. Now they got Trump gone, and now there's two wars very quickly to be mashed into one giant world war.
We actually get this Iran war to happen and the American people to support it. McCain will come back from the dead. It'll be the second coming of Jesus. You don't understand how hard we...
Who heard it? Who heard it? He said it. He said my thing. Oh, let's hear it one more time.
McCain will come back from the dead. It'll be the second coming of Jesus. You don't understand how hard we've been working on this.
Here to resurrect the second coming of common sense.
Yeah, well, there you go. That would be nice if we heard that. Okay, let's move on. The next video, moving back toward the Israel-Palestinian conflict. The next video, what did I say was next, Brian? I think it was the Ben Shapiro one, right? Let's check this out.
So I actually didn't get a chance. I saw that he put out like a 40-minute video really kind of explaining everything. But what I've seen from Ben is that because he's Jewish, he has a very hard line, like not really looking to get into the conversation. That it's just like, no, the Jews are right and everybody else is wrong. And as little as I know that is way too simplistic. So I didn't actually watch the video. So let's see what excerpt he has here. But Steve, definitely give peace a chance. That's all we want. That's all we want.
All right. So the Ben Shapiro, this was from his show today. And Ben Shapiro laid out, which was very strange, but he kind of laid out some dominoes that he could see falling as a result of this Israeli war. So let's listen.
Damn, not one more like? Come on, guys. Let me get one like. One like? Just one.
Listen to what he has to say.
So the real risk for Israel in not finishing off Hamas right now is that this is taken as a sign of weakness, as it certainly would be, by Hezbollah. Hezbollah is a far more dangerous terrorist group than Hamas. Hamas is a dangerous terrorist group. They just proved it by killing 1,300 Jews. Hezbollah currently has over 100,000 highly sophisticated rockets aimed directly at the north of Israel. Estimates suggest that were Hezbollah to fire all of those rockets, we wouldn't be talking about 1,300 dead Jews. You'd be talking about somewhere between 20 and 30,000 dead Jews, day one.
Damn.
If Hezbollah gets in, Israel will have no choice but to unleash the Air Force. If they unleash the Air Force, they're not going to be worried at that point about civilian casualties at all. They're simply going to have to eviscerate the entire south of Lebanon and topple the regime in Lebanon that supports Hezbollah. If that happens, Iran undoubtedly gets in, and so does Syria. If that happens, and Israel is now faced with a full war in the north, combined with a war in the south, because they will not have defeated Hamas, that's the predicate. If Israel is forced to the wall, the possibility of nuclear exchange is extremely high. That is why it is very important that the United States provide the material aid to Israel.
So before he gets into that, CT says Ben also released a picture of a dead baby that was AI generated.
What?
Come on, Ben. Come on, Ben. What about facts over feelings? Why? There is already dead children all over. There's already dead children all over. And so you feel the need to release literal fake news and propaganda? That's insane. That's insane. Do we have a? Does anybody have a link for that or something? Yep, he's ready to nuke the whole planet. The whole planet. And Israel is surrounded by nukes. Yeah, yeah. That's what that means. That's what that means.
All right. So Ben Shapiro here laying out a list of dominoes that could fall. And of course, there's this weird thing where I'll say this. I don't disagree with the entire middle section of that argument as being a possibility, at least something that we should be concerned about. But it's sandwiched on this like bullshit neocon bread. So like the meat was all right. It's the neocon bread that's really the problem. So it starts with him going, now, if Israel doesn't finish off Hamas and shows weakness, then he goes through this whole long list of, Hamas getting involved.
Like I'm just looking at an article. I'm trying to find something specific, but like this is seems to be a real picture. Like, is this seems like a real picture? Is there any reason that this is like? I mean, it's war. It's terrible. It's horrible. You don't need to fake it. Even when I was a never Trumper, I was saying exactly the same thing. That guys, there's so much here that gives us credence to say that Trump would not be a good president. Stop lying about shit. And then they kept lying. And then, I mean, fortunately, he won. But at that time, I did not want that. Shout out to Mike W. Welcome to the party. Said if everyone who's against Israel puts down their weapons, there will be peace. If Israel puts down their weapons, no more Israel. That's what a lot of people are saying. That is a lot of people are saying. So CT saying, not sure if he knew it was AI. So not sure if it's malicious. Okay, that changes a lot. That's very different than the AI pictures of Trump hugging Fauci in the Ron DeSantis video or whatever. That was clearly malicious. And even if he specifically didn't type in, give me a picture of Trump hugging Fauci, then, it's still his campaign. So I don't love that. But if you don't know, then you don't know. That's the whole issue with AI, right? So the Soul says, I've heard that others came back and did more research on that burned baby picture, and it is now proven true. They took a community note down. But either way, fog of war remains. That's why I call me a fence sitter, but this is why I'm so hesitant to be on either side, because it's not just one thing that happened. This is centuries of things happening. And it's like Soil said, fog of war. How do you know? How do you know what you think you know? Same thing with everything else. I treat this exactly the same with everything else. How do I know that I'm on the side of not pushing trans ideology? Because I've understood the issue and I've taken a side. And I remain open. If something came out that said every trans kid ever was perfectly fine, then maybe that would be a different situation. But as of now, that's certainly not the situation. But this is very different. How do you know what you know? So to be fair, showing a pic of dead kids has more ethical issues than AI picture, but should have more due diligence to link to proper information of it. I mean, I don't necessarily agree. I think that if it's newsworthy, then it's newsworthy. I think we do need to know if people are beheading children. That's something that we need to know about. And we can't know about it if we don't see it. Now, I'm not necessarily going to go out of my way to seek out those particular images. I have a number of people who I trust to report on these things that I don't have to see that myself. But at a certain extent, you kind of do want to be aware of the reality. It doesn't really help. Like, I understand the concept of a child, and I understand the concept of someone's head not being attached to their body. So it's enough for me to on a moral and philosophical level to understand that it's happening. I don't physically need to see it in order to be enraged about it and not want it to happen. But that doesn't change the fact that a lot of stuff has happened. Both sides have done things wrong. Both sides have somewhat of a claim to the same land. And the taking of sides is horrifying. As an American on American land, caring about American land, that is the scariest part. The scariest part. We had the video in the other one in Michigan where there's an entire stadium, or not a stadium, a theater, an entire theater of people waving Palestinian flags. Why? Why? Bonzig said, Ben must know Israel is American puppy. Yeah, they don't have any real world influence. I mean, yeah, possibly, but either way, that's my point, is that I understand the concept of the innocence of a child. That's why I don't like abortion. I've never seen those pictures of like what it actually looks like. That I don't need to see that in order to understand the implications of what it is. So he says a baby would garner more sentiment. Yeah, but I like, yes, correct. Obviously, that's why you would do it. But the gain is far outweighed by the negative of putting out fake news. Steve says lots of atrocities in that corner of the world. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Soul the Soul said, yeah, dissunk this. I like that one. The dissunk this campaign giving AI a bad name. I mean, AI is doing a good job with that on its own, but DeSantis ain't helping. CD said, now today they're claiming it wasn't AI and people are arguing about it. All of it is sad. Well, talk about a different type of fog of war. You know, it's AI and the battle between humans and AI. We're going to get a lot of, fog of war there too. But who killed? I mean, that's where you're getting into the nitty gritty. Does it really matter? Does it really matter who killed more babies? You know, Nick said, I usually support Israel, but I'm not naive enough to think they're incapable of doing anything wrong. The whole thing is scary because of the possible consequences of what's happening. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, pictures are sus. Both sides. Zibi said, I just like abortion law. It's like gun law. They will never stop making dumb laws over it, which hurts more people. Well, I'm just saying, I think Roe v. Wade was a good compromise. If we're going to I think that was the best we were going to get. I think we're talking about dead babies. We are now going to have more dead babies than the last 50 years because they got rid of Roe v. Wade. And again, I'm pro-life, but hey, we got Abba Zaba in the building. Welcome to the party. Said I really don't feel like getting vaporized in a mushroom cloud over Israel. I don't think anybody does. Like Steve was saying before, give peace a chance. Welcome to the party, Abba Zaba. Good to see ya. CT says, yeah, I feel like both sides have committed war crimes, and we're just arguing about which side deserved it. That's exactly it.
Then he goes through this whole long list of, Hamas getting involved, Israel's Air Force retaliating, Iran and Syria getting involved. And then the bread at the end is, that's why America needs to fund this war right now. So it's very similar to what these guys would do with the war in Ukraine a lot, where they'd be like, oh, no, there is a real risk of nuclear war. And the risk is that Russia wins in Ukraine. And then if they win, they move on to Poland. And then because Poland's a NATO country, now we have to go to nuclear war. Therefore, we must fund a war against Russia just in case, to prevent nuclear war.
Yeah, we have to make sure that we get into a war to prevent the possibility that maybe there's a war.
What?
How does that make any sense? Talk about fighting fire with fire. Hey, we got Guantech in the building. Welcome to the party. Good to see you, brother. Bonzig said it's war, so people gonna die. But why does Palestine have no help from the big Islamic nations? Hamas is making what? You were so close, brother. You were so close. It's more about the government funding abortion than anything else. It's like with education, more government programs. Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. Anything that the government has their hands in, always going to be sketchy. Always going to be sketchy. What doesn't make sense? Yeah, your comment? I know. Abazeba says bombing for peace is like screwing for virginity. Makes about as much sense as a bag of hammers. Nail on the head, pun intended. Shout out to Trey. What is good? What is good? Welcome to the party. So I kind of understand what he's saying, but it's still dumb. I agree. Maybe completely is a strong word, but I understand that he's saying like this can lead to that, can lead to that, can lead to that, and that's going to get us in war. Therefore, we need to have war to make sure that we don't get into war.
What?
Okay.
Which is so backward. And you're like, yeah, but wouldn't like having a direct conflict with Russia increase the risk of a nuclear conflict with Russia? And where exactly are you assuming? Why are you assuming that they take Poland next? Why is it the idea that if Israel
That's a good question. That's a good question, actually. That
with Russia, and where exactly are you assuming? Why are you assuming that they take Poland next?
That is a good question. That's everything that I've heard about why it's so important that we, before Israel, but that we're sending money and everything in the American bank account to Ukraine because Poland is next. And then number one, how do you know that? And then number two, let's cross that bridge when we come to it. How about that? CT said, without bags of hammers, how else would the DoD funnel trillions of dollars into black programs? That's how they cook the books.
Bingo.
You got it. You got it.
Why is it the idea that if Israel doesn't do enough killing here, then Hezbollah might start pounding them with rockets for not killing enough people? That seems strange. Doesn't it seem a lot more likely that if Israel is slaughtering Muslims by the hundreds of thousands, that then maybe that would be what triggers Hezbollah to want to fire rockets over there, and then setting off this whole domino chain of events that Ben Shapiro is laying out here? Like, if anything, it's so ass backward, it borders on insanity to listen to what Ben Shapiro just laid out right there, which, by the way, I think is very real.
Yes.
As I said on the last podcast, there is a very real concern right now.
Yeah, that is not the criticism at all. That the things that he's saying cannot happen. That is not the criticism. The criticism is the leap that he makes from this can happen, therefore America needs to fight. That's the issue.
That other Arab nations and other Arab forces like Hezbollah may not take this. They may not just allow Israel to completely flatten Gaza, as Lindsey Graham is out there calling for them to do. But if you recognized all of these concerns, if you go, oh my God, like Hezbollah could get involved, then the Israeli Air Force would have to go like just bomb the shit out of Lebanon. Then you could have Syria, Iran involved. You could have other Arab states in the region get involved.
Doesn't that sound like so much fun, guy? You don't want to get involved in that? You must be so much fun at parties.
And that could lead to nuclear war. If you realize that that's a possibility, wouldn't the only rational response to that be like, okay, hold on, let's think before we launch this war. Let's really think about what the implications are here, right?
Oh, they've thought. They just don't care. They have enough money to be made that people are going to die, but it's not going to be us, and we're going to make a lot of money. Let's do it. Nick says, we have two of the largest religions in the world here. It's bound to go to hell. Dogma is a scary, scary thing.
Right? Like, okay, let's make sure that cooler heads prevail here, and we really have a strategy going in of how to avoid this. It's like, nope, war now, fund it till infinity. Let's kill as many people as we can because there's such a danger of nuclear war. Yep. This is how, like, geopolitics works with neocons in charge. Like, the stakes are so high, so let's start bombing. Let's start bombing things. We'll figure it out later. This really just, I don't know. I thought there was something about that was truly unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's just crazy that it's the exact same playbook that we had the last time we got into bullshit in the Middle East. It's the exact same playbook. Okay, maybe not exactly the same. Obviously, Israel is an ally, and it's not exactly the same. But the point is that this is going. This war has been, we all know, this war has been going on for centuries. Unless we are actually going to level the place and just say, okay, this is part of America now, and we're calling the whole thing Israel. End of story. All right, if we're going to get involved, let's get involved. No half measures. If we're going to get involved, I want every inch of the American militaristic power to end this as quickly as possible. And we're already across the Rubicon of people going to die. People are going to die. So either it can be a slow burn and we can, let out a bunch of our money and people and this and that and be in a really bad situation for a long time, or we can nuke them. Neither of those sound like a good idea. So how about we just stay out of it? Hey, we got 3IG34G in the building over on Twitch. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. Good to see ya.
Yeah, I'm hearing the same thing with the Hezbollah risk and the escalations. That all makes sense, but I don't understand why you feel like there's more of a risk of Hezbollah getting involved if you don't go punish Hamas. I don't quite understand that logic.
I think the logic is something like, because then we seem weak, and then they don't respect us because they only respect strength. This is always kind of like the war hawk logic, that you can't be weak. If you're weak, then everyone will pounce on you. You got to be strong.
And I mean, compare Trump to Biden. I hate to agree with the military industrial complex, but strength is a real thing on the world stage. It's a real thing. 3IG's got a joke for us. Okay. Putin's birthday and the beginning of Hamas terror is October 7th. Is that the setup, or is that supposed to be the punchline? Yes, we are on Facebook. We are on YouTube. We are on Twitch. We are on Twitter. We are supposed to be on Kick, but every time I do 1080, then it doesn't work. And I'm going to start streaming on Rumble for the next show. So wherever you are, you never have to miss an Indian Jesus live party. And of course, the after party in the Discord. Sign up to be a member and you can join. Hey, shout out. We got Deuces 223 in the building. Welcome to the party. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's a real day. I mean, I believe you. I didn't know if that was a setup or you're gonna make another joke about that. But I'll take it either way. Thank you very much.
When you're strong, then nobody's gonna do anything to you. But you're like, yeah, this just doesn't. Look, you can say, and this is also part of the thing, is that this is Ben Shapiro's worldview, is that no matter what any Muslim ever says is their grievance against Israel, their real grievance is just that they hate the Jews and they want to kill them, right?
Yep.
So it doesn't matter what they say, but that's kind of just like a convenient way to never have to deal with what anybody's saying. So like I'm just saying that if you listen to what any of these people's grievances is with Israel, it's never like that. Like, we just want to kill them because they're Jews. It's usually like, we hate them because we hate the Jews because they oppress the Palestinians.
Yeah, I wish I should have thought about this when I was watching it, but I saw a TikTok of somebody on. Oh, did I think I put it in here. Wait. We might have it. Yes, we have it. All right, check this out.
Nah, I'm in shock. I feel like the BBC.
So I saw this. I saw this before, and said Palestinian ambassador exposes.
Yeah, this by accident.
Exposes what's really happening on live TV. So it's a little bit of a clip here. So ride with me, but.
Nah, I'm in shock. I feel like the BBC aired this by accident, guys. You have to watch this entire video.
Just want to take you back to Saturday morning when you first heard what Hamas had done. What went through your head?
Now, as you're watching this, what I want you to keep in mind is how a Black Lives Matter supporter would talk about the riots.
Regret that the international community has not heeded our warnings for all these years. Regret that this was allowed to fester for decades. Regret that there is attention now in the BBC and all over the world only because blood has been spilled. I only hope that, or I wish, we did not get to this moment.
So you listed a number of things you regret there. Do you regret the loss of innocent life in Israel?
Yeah, so you're saying, I regret that we had to attack innocent civilians. I regret that we have to do that. When the question was, do you regret hurting these people?
Every loss of life is regrettable, of course, and tragic.
Every loss of life is tragic. Except if they're Jewish, says this guy.
Absolutely. The question is, how do we stop this? How do we provide an alternative path?
Maybe just don't do what you've been doing.
How do we learn the lessons and the mistakes of the past?
Now there's lessons to be learned. So it can't just stop because lessons have to be taught by the holy people who in their book, they are told that they're the ones that are right. And these other people, because they read a different part of the same kind of book, but it's a different book, but it's kind of the same book and pray to the same God, they have to die.
What?
How do we treat the Palestinian people after 100 years of suffering equally to all other nations? How do we stop this demise into the mayhem that you have described? Do not underestimate people's will and desire for freedom, to end occupation and captivity. This isn't about Hamas only. This isn't about the last 48 hours. This has been ongoing for more than 100 years. It started here, by the way, Louise, in this very city. It was Britain that gave our rights away without even consulting us. And then this.
And again, shout out to Jerkalani, who was saying, like, yeah, that really is where, if we want to go all the way back, it was an English territory. And I mean, again, I brought them on because I don't really know about this, but it was the UK or Britain specifically that said, okay, we're going to, displace people in this part of the world and call it Israel. Is that a bad thing? Is that a good thing? That's up to you to decide, but that is what started a lot of this. 3IG says, I hope you showed how Saudi Arabia and other countries celebrate and pray after the start of terror. Yeah, I mean, I can't, well, I guess I could show them celebrating. But trust me, as an atheist, I rail on religion of all types all the time. That's just another thing to add to the list. Bonsig said Palestinians were living in horrific conditions. So bomb terrorists then. Or excuse me, bomb innocent people then. Makes sense.
Whole international Western approach to us has been failure, dismal failure. This is about time that we really give a different path because there is no other alternative. As our ambassador,
there's no other alternative but to kill innocent people because of their religion.
That the UN just said, justice, not vengeance, and peace, not war. And we, the Palestine National Movement, we, the PLO, have given that alternative avenue 30 years ago. We have recognized Israel. We have committed to negotiations and nonviolence. We have committed to international law and resolutions. Israel was supposed to do one thing, end its occupation and stop its colonial settlement expansion.
So as far as I understand, what he's trying to say is, well, we just wanted our space and you guys had to just come over here and have your own space. We agreed to just not do anything if you just go somewhere else in the world. Who told you could do that? Who gave you that authority?
Did not do this for once. All the successive governments and the international community was supposed to provide accountability and guarantees. The US-led international community did.
Oh, he's talking about accountability. Rejection. Anytime we see projection, we drink to it to really point out it's so common how many people will throw an accusation about something, regardless of what it is, whether it's dating, whether it's politics, whether it's culture, whether it's trans, whatever it is. They'll always say the exact thing that is appropriate to them.
Not do so. So we are here today, Louise, and the question is the most important question. How do we stop Israeli massacres that are about to happen against Palestinian civilians.
So you see the switch. You see the switch. Well, there's about to be a Palestinian, whatever he said. How do we prevent this? Maybe don't send paratroopers in the first place. I'm not saying Israel should respond by attacking innocent people either. But you, sir, are not in the position to be saying, oh, how dare they?
How dare
Come
you.
on. Hey, shout out to Gatanarengha said, are you well versed in the Israeli? Not at all. So not last stream, the stream before last, I brought on two people who are, amateur historians, and we were talking a lot about it, but no, this is out of my wheelhouse. So if I say some shit that's wrong, feel free to call me out. Oh, that's not.
And how do
Excuse me. I want to jump in on, and I appreciate the historical context, and we will come back to that. Just on the last 48 hours, though, do you support what Hamas launched on Saturday morning?
So we're over 2.5 minutes into this video, and he still has not answered the original question.
Well, this is not the right question, Louis.
Oh, now it's the wrong question.
It's an important question.
No, it is not an important question.
Yes, it
whether you
is.
support their action or not is an important question.
No. It is not an important question. Hamas is a group, is a militant group. You're talking with the Palestinian representative. Our position is very well known and clear.
And what is that? Do you support Hamas's actions?
And then you cannot equate. This is not about support or not support. I am here to represent my people, the Palestinian people, what they are going through.
And this is what I'm talking about when I compare this to the Black Lives Matter and the riots. They just will not be able. You have grievances, okay? Whatever systemic racism, this, that. We can have a conversation about how that works and how real that is and what can be done to fix it and all of that. But that is not an excuse for you to go burn down cities. And they will not say that, yeah, you're right. People shouldn't be doing that. Despite the fact that I feel that the people who are breaking the law have a legitimate grievance, they are still breaking the law. And because I understand their grievance, will pretend that them breaking the law is okay. Whereas in any other situation, it would not be okay. So, no, I don't think I'd be able to debate either side of the issue. What I'm really trying to do is look at how easy it is for people to just find themselves on one side or the other. And I'm happy to say, no, I don't think I could debate either side of the issue. No, I'm not very well versed in this. And I think more people need to take that position if it's where they are. Like I was saying in that stream, we were showing a video from Dearborn, Michigan, of an entire theater of people just waving Palestinian flags as if what happened was good. Even if you're thinking about the conflict and you're on one side of the conflict, innocent people dying is not something to be celebrated. Why is that something that needs to be said out loud?
I'm not here to condemn anybody. And
I'm not here to condemn anybody, not even the people who are just killing randos.
If anybody that needs to be condemned, it's what you call the only democracy in the Middle East, that is Israel, between parentheses, that is doing what you have just reported.
Okay, why do they need to be condemned? I'm open and I'm listening. Bunzig says here in Cape May, prominent Islamic scholars hate Saudi more than anything. Some call them the Zionists for doing nothing. Yeah, it gets complicated. I'm with you, bro. I know that I don't know, and that's fair. Nobody can know everything. Like I'm more focused on the street level issues that your everyday person deals with on an average day. That's what I think. If we focus on, can have more grassroots changes for the things that we actually want to change. But that doesn't mean that this stuff isn't important. I'm just not that guy. And that's okay. That's okay. Let's finish
targeting civilians. And this has not just happened the last 48 hours.
Hamas was just targeting Palestinians, but you won't condemn that.
I'll tell you one thing. Hamas is not the Palestinian government. Okay? The Israeli government is giving orders for its organized army.
Agreed, Zippy, agreed.
So please don't draw any symmetry here. Don't equate. There is no way you can draw any symmetry. And don't equate between the occupied and the occupier.
And so this is like, you can't have any comparison between the entire summer of cities being burned down and January 6th. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Is it though? Don't think so. They might not be one-to-one the exact same thing, but they certainly belong in the same conversation. Zippy says it doesn't matter anymore what the other side wants. The endless conflict has to stop. And if the world steps in, Palestine will be given to Israel. Bonzig says, so easy for Israel to just take over. So why haven't they? That is a question that I have that is very relevant, because as much as to me, it looks like at this point in time, the aggressors in the situation are obviously Hamas. But that doesn't mean this was the problem with Ben Shapiro's statement. How do you get from Hamas bad to America needs to send money and people? That's the bridge you need to gap.
This doesn't serve justice to understand for your audience and viewers the real situation. Since Israel's establishment, it has had one military doctrine. When it fights, it goes and fights civilians, kill civilians, so they pressure the fighters.
Unlike Hamas.
Since 1948, and go back to the record, and this has been repeated in Gaza and will continue to be repeated. So the conversation is not a blame game. I am not in the business of blaming the victim here. The real conversation is, how do we stop this vicious, deadly cycle?
Again, stop killing innocent people. Gods in Aringhouse says America has already been sending money for a long time. Yep. Do you feel America should stop sending money? I don't necessarily think we should stop sending money. I know that they're allies, and I know that it's very strategic on the world stage, for as little as I do know. So I'm not necessarily saying that we should stop. I'm just saying that we shouldn't, allocate an extra $6 billion because there's a war happening, and if we can get in on that action, Lockheed Martin, let's get it. Raytheon, let's get it. I'm not about that. So no, I'm not saying that we need to cut them off. If they're allies, they're allies. But at the same time, as an American who is not Jewish and not Israeli and not Palestinian, I care about the well-being of the American homeland and the American people. That is what I really care about. So he says, I feel like the UN and the US were not letting Israel take over Palestine. Plus, if you take into account how things play out, they are milking the conflict. Of course. Israel gets a couple billion a year from the US. Yeah, well, is that Raytheon? Go buy some Raytheon. Not financial advice, but if it was, it wouldn't be too bad. Wouldn't be too bad. All right, I think we get the point here. It's just cope. It's just cope, and I understand that. Again, I understand that it's a complicated. It's a complicated thing, but if you can't just say, I regret that innocent people had to die, even if you say that they had to die, which they certainly didn't, you can't even say that. You can't, and again, bring it back to the BLM thing. You can't even just say that it's not good for people to burn down cities. You can't even say that. You can't both have a grievance and also follow the law. As we said, if we could, we should just pull out of the Middle East altogether. It's not worth our people's lives. I agree with you there. But I'm worried about the destabilization that would come from making moves like that. Because, for better or worse, Israel does depend on that money coming in. That's part of their budget. And so I don't want us to, lose the geopolitical benefits that we have as having Israel as an ally. I just don't want things to be ramped up. That's all I'm saying, is that, everybody's saying how great the Israeli military is, and they're like third in the world. Great. Then you go fight. And if you guys are getting fucked up, we'll jump in. But we're not rolling up with the American army, because now you guys are going to go kill Palestinian civilians. But because you got America on your back, then, hey, let's go, whatever. No. Bonzek said the wealthy Middle Eastern countries are living in paradise, Why are they not funding Palestine with funds? Maybe help buy land. Because they don't have to. America is like, we'll foot the bill. We want to be your best friend. Steve says, I mean, I'll take helping Israel over Ukraine any day of the week. We have more ties to them anyway. Yeah, that I agree with. But I'm fine with us giving aid to them in general. But I don't want to be ramping shit up. That's really my big thing. All right, Indie Films calling me out and said, please stop calling this territory Palestine. The territory for thousands of years was Israel, including most of Jordan. Well, according to the maps that I've looked at, even though Palestine was never recognized as a country, it was the territory of Palestine, was it not? Like that was the official. Like Puerto Rico is not a U.S. state, but Puerto Rico is Puerto Rico. I don't know. Am I wrong about that? Nick says, I've been missing talking with people with well thought out opinions. So much better than the people that need glass stomachs because they have their heads so far up their ass. Welcome back, brother. Welcome back. What did I miss here? Bonzig says, besides Gaza and the West Bank, Arabs living in Israel are not treated equally and have zero voting rights. Well, that's not good either. And yeah, this again goes back to what Jerkalani was saying on the stream that we did with her and Frosttown, that this all goes back to the UK saying, okay, we're going to give you this. Same thing with us. Why are you getting involved? People have been fighting and conquering land and doing all this forever. That is the way of humanity. It's not fun. It's not good. It's not nice. But you're not going to get away from it. At least not like this. CD says, we operated off of biblical global borders, then none of us would have a country. Well said. Well said. All right, where were we here?
That, like, we just want to kill them because they're Jews. It's usually like we hate them because we hate the Jews because they oppress the Palestinians. You know what I mean? It's like that's usually what their line of logic is. So I'm just saying, if you do choose to take them at their word, you can ignore that at your own peril if you want to. But if you do listen to what they're saying, then actually slaughtering a whole bunch more Palestinians seems like the most likely way to provoke them into a further escalation.
Yup.
Anyway, it does not seem that anybody is going to be listening to me on this, and anyone in power is going to be listening to me on this anytime soon.
Probably not. 3IG over on Twitch said, for those who haven't seen it yet, I recommend watching the children's show Pioneers of Tomorrow from 2007 to 2009, where the main character is Mickey Mouse Farfer, who makes children hate Israel.
What?
Sounds interesting at the least. Definitely interesting at the least.
I do just find it like really funny though, the idea of like, look, this can escalate so bad, and that's why we must escalate right now.
That's literally the logic. Well, and I mean, obviously that sounds stupid, but when you understand the money side of it, buying that Raytheon stock, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. And it shows you how little they actually care about us, how they care about other people in other countries. They don't care. So any type of messaging, any type of rhetoric, any type of propaganda that is centered around, oh, this is so horrible. What's happened to these people? It is, but that's not why they're doing anything. That is not the reason behind anything that they do. CD said, I will always try to say Jewish people or Israeli. The Jews just sounds harsh.
Bingo.
I'm right there with you. I really don't even, and it's not even, like, to me, it's more because I don't really fully understand, like, true anti-Semitism. Like, when people are legit like, oh, the Jews are doing this and running the world, and they do, like, I don't get where that comes from. I understand that the Jewish people are overrepresented in certain areas, but I don't get it. And that's where you usually hear the phrase, the Jews, is they. is the Nick Fuenteses and the former Kanye Wests of the world talking about that shit. And so it sounds harsh, and it's also the kind of thing where if you're on a date with a girl, you don't want to say like, "Oh, I got to maintain frame. Oh, I'm an alpha." Like, no, you just want to know what the Fresh and Fit guys say. You don't want to be like them. You know what I mean? Politics of the same people who funded Hitler funded Israel. Nobody actually wanted to have the Jews after the Holocaust. That's the Balfour Declaration. Balfour Declaration was created. That's another piece that I don't understand. I guess it's just that. I guess it has to be the atheist in me. It has to be the atheist in me, though I didn't understand the geopolitical aspects of it. But this whole thing, all of this, thousands and thousands and thousands of years of oppression and all of this comes down to a dogmatic belief that you can't even really know. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Every single iteration of dogma plays out to be bad, especially for the people holding the dogma. So the soul said, if it isn't war over a divine God, it's always the other God. Gold, oil, and drugs. Nail on the head. Another one to say, find the money.
All right. All right. By the way, I heard after I had said this on the last episode, I heard Colonel Douglas McGregor basically say the same thing, that he was like, what Israel's talking about doing to Gaza right now, he goes, I don't think these other Arab nations are going to stand by and take it. And I think you might see an invasion of Israel. And that's just, I came to that conclusion just thinking it through, but then hearing this kind of very decorated colonel saying the same thing, I was like, shit. I was kind of hoping he would say no, that's not going to happen because of X, Y, and Z. But he was just like, yeah, no, that's a real threat.
Well, might even be what they want, Davey Smith. Get that old Iran war going.
Well, right. Yeah, just might be. We'll see.
And again, as we were just talking about, we know that's what Lockheed Martin and Raytheon want.
We'll see. All right.
Hey, shout out to Scarecrow 00195. Scarecrow, welcome to the party. Glad you are here.
I don't know if you've noticed, this is something I'm not particularly a fan of, but I got to say, maybe it's just because social media is so much more prevalent now, but there's been a lot of wars in the last 20 years. I've never seen so many pictures of dead children on both sides. Constant pictures of dead kids. It's really, it's disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of
and again, that's why I don't really get into it. I remember watching the supposed, I still don't even know what happened with Assad gassing his own people in Syria. I still don't know if it was false flag or if it was him or if it was what. Again, fog of war. How the hell do you know? I don't know. And so the best welcome I ever got. Well, you got to the party, brother, sister, whatever you go by. Welcome. Yeah, I think every stream should be like that. The fact that you guys are here instead of anywhere else, that means so much to me. So the fact that you're here, yeah, man, you guys are what makes this happen. So thank you so much for being here. Zippy says, all I see nowadays is Christendom using the Jews as a scapegoat and distraction for profit. Mind you, Christendom are nations that are slanted to Christianity or Catholicism. Okay, fair enough. Nick says, I hate the anti-Semitism I was exposed to in high school. I just never understood not liking someone for something that nobody gets to pick, like skin color or the religion you were raised with. True. But you absolutely, I understand that, Judaism is as much of a heritage as it is a religion, but also it's a religion. So you do kind of have that choice. And you can absolutely, just like anybody else, question as far as I understand, questioning, the dogma is a much bigger part of Judaism than Christianity. As far as I understand, in Christianity, Like, you're allowed to have your doubts, but then you get right back on track. Whereas, from what I understand in Judaism, that's part of the thing is to be pushing to find the truth. Steve said, not really. Catholicism saved the Mexican Indians from the cruel practice of human sacrifice that the Aztecs did. Those dudes used the human remains as fertilizer for their fields. Damn. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely different levels. There's definitely different levels of shit going down. Ooh, come on. So the Soul said, I think dead kids are still mostly propaganda. People have been jaded by information in the internet age to where they have to use the worst of the worst to elicit feelings for their side. Yeah, the desensitization from being in a 20-year war and then having what? 8 months off? Crazy. Scott Joseph said, Israel's going to win. There are only 15 million Jews left. Wow. So as I was just saying before, I'm more of a street level culture stuff. How do we reach the people who aren't paying attention at all? Geopolitics is not really my area, but I do think it's important to look at the way people talk about this. And again, drawing back to that video of people in Dearborn, Michigan, just waving Palestinian flags on Saturday night. It's like, you guys don't know shit about shit. You don't know about anything. Yet somehow you've already picked a side in this as Americans. Doesn't make sense to me. So I think that it is very clear that both sides have, a reasonable, from their own perspective, a reasonable claim to the land. But one side seems to be willing to go a little bit further, but justifies how far they're going by how far the other side is going. And they're both going hard, and it's just a shit show. And so I was saying, if America's going to get involved, I don't want this slow burn like with Iraq, where we're over there and we're losing our people and we're losing our money and all that stuff. If we're going to get involved, we need to drop a nuke on the whole thing and appoint whoever it is. If we're not going to do that, which I don't want to do, then let's stay the fuck out. Whatever money was already budgeted for Israel, go on. Anything else? Hell no. Zippy said Death Kids is probably from the new way the news does gotcha. If it bleeds, it leads. Yeah, that's nothing new. Scarecrow says being closer than you to the conflict. So I'm interested in the Western influencers' thoughts on it. Well, yeah, in the right place, because that's where my that's where my interests really are. American people and the American soil. I'm not blaming anybody if you are Jewish or if you're specifically Israeli that you have more of a strong position at this point. But if you're that like rah free Palestine, where have you been the last 20 years? You're only going to show your support for Palestine when they kill a bunch of innocent people? Like, that is very odd to me. Even if you think that whatever claims that side is making are valid, read the room. Not the time. Daniel Cabrera says, Steve, they also over farm their fields, forgot to rotate crops, and pray to a slew of deities who all require sacrifice. Yeah, I mean, you think the modern religions are bad. This is why we need to get rid of the idea of dogmatic thinking in the first place. Scott says in 1939, there were 18 million Jews. Fact is, whatever you want to believe as a Jew, Hamas and friends will try to mass murder you. Terrible. Okay, you deleted that one. I won't pull that one up. CT said a secret meeting was held, and the Balfour was made to create a Jewish homeland, which ironically was created to push the Jewish people out of England. They didn't like them. Yeah, no one does. Why? What's the big deal? What do the Jews do to everybody? Like, certainly, okay, if your whole thing is all the Jews control Hollywood, all right, what about before that? What was the deal for an American to have any anti-Semitism before a Hollywood? Even the Hollywood thing is stupid to me. But yeah, exactly, Daniel. All right. So let's dive back in here.
Kids. It's really God, it's disturbing.
Yep.
I really prefer to not see them. Like, I know we talk about this a lot. I can like understand that there are kids dying. I don't actually need to see the image.
Exactly. That's precisely what I was saying. So what's my question? I don't know if I have a specific question. I definitely am worried about seeing what's happening with the southern border of the US and how people are just pouring over since Biden got in office. How many of those people are Muslim terrorists? I mean, it's not a crazy thought to think that maybe Muslim extremists maybe are thinking that somehow they might want to, attack America. I know it's a crazy thought. That's never, ever happened before. But that's my main question. How worried do I need to be about Hamas or just any Muslim terrorist or any terrorist using this this instance to want to hurt American people? That's my top question. Definitely the news is, I mean, you said it yourself.
Of it. I suppose you can make an argument that it's powerful and that maybe some people do need to see that, but just so many images of them.
They've kind of changed the rules a little bit here, and that it used to be like when New York Post had those articles with the ISIS beheadings, I would purposely not look because I was like, I don't need those images rattling around my brain.
Yeah.
I don't think that's good for your brain. I don't think
Right.
Yeah, I just don't think. I think the horrors of having to be in war is living with the memories. If you can choose not to have to go observe those things, I don't think it's helpful for your temperament or your general sense of well-being.
All right. Shout out to Indie Film for our new running poll. Who will these wars help more, Biden or Trump? Thank you, sir. Shout out to Deuces. Oh yeah, you already been here. I know you. So most American opinions are extremes on both sides. Don't take the time to understand the nuance of all of this. I mean, I don't appreciate you pushing people away from my stream, but I do agree. Unfortunately, I do agree. Nick said, I have thought it ironic that according to the Bible, the Israelites were the only people in recorded history that committed true G-side. Scary. Scarecrow said, most Americans don't take the time to be educated about the matter before talking. Yup. Valzik said, I'm pro-Palestine, but little faith in the support. In my opinion, if Israel could go in now and take over and nothing will happen, couple tweets for a week or so and say flag.
What?
What's the plan? If Israel could do what? Hey, shout out to Lefty Lucy. Welcome to the party. Said Jihadi John propaganda was low tier. You didn't miss much. I mean, yeah, again, this is why I don't get too deep into this stuff, because it comes back to how do you know what is real and is obviously fake, is the making up lies, or is just has incorrect information. You're good, Deuces. I'm just kidding. Scarecrow said, well, I don't really speak on behalf of Hamas, but I guess Americans don't need to be scared of them if Americans don't get involved in the conflict. That's a big if, my friend. That is a big if. Because I mean, I definitely think we're already involved. That's the first thing. But getting more involved again, I don't think that we have a good chance of that not happening. I think we're pretty much gonna send in everything we had. Bonzig said Israel could take over now. Again, I would love for that to happen, so that Americans, American money, American government, American news media is not clogged up with this issue. If they can handle it, then handle it. If they can't handle it, then at least try, and then we'll come in when you get fucked up. That's war. 3IG said the United States said it could send 2,000 troops to Israel. What did I say? A big if.
That's my just personal philosophy.
I agree
that it affects me. We got a problem now, though, that the Israelis seem to be wanting to make bold claims about like ultra animalistic behavior as an excuse for engaging in violence. And then you've got ISIS seemingly trying to brag about some of its behavior. I mean, not ISIS, I guess Hamas. Or the Palestinians also going, look, they've actually done this to us. And I think we're in a better environment now with Twitter where you kind of have to take everything with a grain of salt and wait for it to be validated versus when it was kind of curated by Fox or CNN of here are the approved images for you to go see. And then you kind of had to take that as facts. I think it's almost better now that everything is false until proven true.
Okay, that's a good that he dovetailed that well, because there absolutely is a, you know, when it's just the approved messages and we only have CNN and Fox News, then it's like, okay, they're going to show us what they want to show us, and that's all we know. You know, there might be war photographers and stuff but most average people, again, this is what I care about most. Most average people are not doing deep dives on the news, even for big events like this. They switch on the TV. They watch while they're making dinner, and then that's their entire news intake for the day because they have a family, they have work, they have shit to do. And so him saying that, like, okay, now, even though everything on Twitter, you really don't know where it's coming from, or you really don't know if it's AI or if it's this, then we've gotten to a place where we've decided, okay, everything's probably fake. So until it is proven true, then we're not going to go with any of it, which is a lot more confusing, but definitely has would seem to have a better outcome. Lefty Lucy said, Green Screen City, the Jihadi John stuff, just like the 3 years of old footage they are using in the current Israel war. Yeah, that's another thing, is that war looks like war. It's hard to tell, is this from, and especially if it's the same fucking war, how do we know if this picture was taken yesterday or a week ago or 5 years ago or 8 years ago? Beyond that, you could probably tell, based on the quality of the picture, but maybe not. Scarecrow says it's really ironic when you Americans want to stick your nose into everyone's business and you act like victims when it backfires. Well, you are not going to sell. This is the difference between the American government and the American voters. Most, I can't even say most, because a lot of them are like, yeah, we got to go to war. But so many of us are, yes, I completely agree that that's hypocritical. And that's why I am largely, not entirely, but largely anti-interventionist. I care about Americans. I care about American soil. I don't have the capacity to care about every single person in the world. I don't have the capacity to care about every conflict in the world. I'm glad that there's people who know a lot about this and can disseminate information to me, because it is important to know. But absolutely, it's hypocritical. And this is exactly why so many of us are so frustrated with the government, because we don't want this blowback. We don't want to stick our nose in anybody's business anyway, because that means sending money. That means sending money when our kids are failing school, when we can't get clean water, when people can't afford homes. And Ukraine gets money, and Israel gets money, and these people get money. What about the Americans? How are we pouring from such an empty cup? It's quantum physics. We have a negative empty cup. It's negative. It's not even empty. And yet we're pouring into other people's cups. Absolutely, that is hypocritical. CT said, it sounds barbaric, but yeah, I kind of agree. If Egypt will open its border to let all women and children evacuate Palestine, then Israel ends this. It might be the best outcome. And why? Why can't this be done? Well, they did this to us, so we got to get them back. Revenge is better than peace. If that's what y'all want to do, but keep me and my country and my GDP the fuck out of it, please. Von Sig said Israel gets real supports with funds and weapons from various countries. Palestine is supported through retweets. Well, then then they're going to lose. What are we doing? Two sides can't win the war. So if there is a war, either both sides lose or one side wins. I mean, unless history has lied to us and there can be a war where everybody wins and we live in utopia. But we don't. So if Israel is going to win this, then either we need to let them know that, yo, if you got this, you got this. I'm not getting shit on my shoes because you picked a fight. And if you can't get this, all right, we got it, but you're not going to like the way that we do it. We're not spending another 2 decades defending other people when we have so many problems at home. Unfortunately, we probably will. But if I was in charge, that's what I'd be saying. Crazy. Yeah, agreed. I think 90% of Americans don't care about any wars. I mean, and not care about meaning that we want to go fight. I mean, we care, but and yes, we vote. Well, technically, I didn't vote in 2020 because I was not in favor of either of them. But yes, but that doesn't mean that, like not all of us. And that doesn't mean that just because the majority of 300 million people said something, that's still 150 million people who are on the other side. So no, you're good. You're good. Not trying to be offensive. That's you're not being offensive at all. I appreciate the questions because it's important for people to understand this stuff. So if this is the only place you can ask these kind of questions without people getting all butthurt, then I'm happy to answer. Lefty Lucy said Ukraine is cleared for Israel 2.0. That's the only reason this Israel war has gone up a step. Poor me, Israel. Then relocation for said Jews. Nobody wins a war. Only corporations win. People always lose.
Bingo.
Yep. Scarecrow says this conflict was going on for 75 years. It's been going on a lot longer than that, brother. Do you know anything about history? Well, I mean, I know that it's been going on. The specifics of who did what, when, and what year, no, I don't know the specifics about that. But I do know that there's been a lot of fighting between the different religions in the Middle East forever, since the Ottoman Empire. So you said I read somewhere that that Russia and China are benefiting from this war. Their trade corridors remain open while the Suez Canal traffic is being detoured. Russia has an Arctic trade corridor. There's always backroom deals. All right, let's dive back in here. Where were we? Oh yeah, everything.
I had to take that as facts. I think it's almost better now that everything is false until proven true, and that it's because people have lied so much, you almost go, shit, I kind of have to look at this image and think it's almost like a Bigfoot image now. It's like, oh, was that actually a sighting of Bigfoot? Right. Well, I can't read the article of you describing that there was a blurry thing out there for me to look at it and decide, oh, do I think that was a hunter or not? I kind of have to look at it. I'm saying it's a positive to me that we're in this new day and age where other people don't get to curate the information for us and decide what's true. It's a negative, though, that sides seem to want to lie about the extremity of the violence that's been perpetrated towards them, that you then have to go look and validate.
Take it easy, Lucy. Take it easy. I feel you, but we can't be saying that stuff on YouTube.
It for yourself.
Yeah, well, there was the thing with the babies being decapitated that even Joe Biden said had happened, and then the White House had to put out a statement saying, like, we haven't seen any evidence of this. And it is one of those things where, you know, you see, like, there's a lot of there'll be people will make these claims coming off like a horrific, this horrific like Hamas terrorist attack, and they'll say, this one woman just says on a broadcast, I heard from soldiers that babies were decapitated.
Just saying things. Is it real? Is it not? Who knows? Fog of war. Shout out to Stephanie Miller. Welcome to the party. Glad to see you, girl. Next says we can't afford to help the world until we take care of ourselves. Before we send any more money to anyone, I want to see our national debt gone. We have so much wrong here. Thank you, Sleepy Joe.
Oh, man.
Yep.
And then everyone's running with this thing, and then you're like, oh, okay, but like what? have we seen any evidence to corroborate that babies were decapitated? And they're like, what? Oh, what? So you're on the side of Hamas and you just want to, and you're like, yeah, listen, you're making a claim. I want to know if this claim is true. Obviously, the attack is horrific enough with or without this claim.
What did I say? What did I say at the start of this? I specifically said that. And I'm not just, like, you guys know that I'm not just watching ahead to use the same lines. Exactly what I said. I don't need to hear that babies are being decapitated to understand the horror of people at a music festival who are just regular people getting gunned down by paratroopers. That's enough. That's enough.
But you're making it. So if you're going to make it, if it comes out of the mouth of the president of the United States, I'd like to know if this is true or not. So there, yeah, it's a weird dynamic. And then at the same time, I'm also like, I'd also not like to actually see a picture of it. If there's a way that I could, like, you know, like, I remember one time, it was back in the day, it was like me and Scott Horton from a podcast we did, and someone made like a video of it, like a compilation type deal with music in the background. And we were talking about Yemen, and they just put pictures of like the starving kids over it. And I like couldn't even watch it.
As if talking about what's going on in Yemen is just like, I heard you, but yeah, you know.
Nobody really cares.
Oh, but now that I see it, really? You need to see? I mean, I get, and that's why it's important that we do have those pictures out there for people who do need to see it. I don't personally feel like I need to. I feel like I can understand the gravity of the situation without seeing the worst parts of it. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But it's not, I mean, it's not like I've never seen horrible war pictures. But all I'm saying is that it didn't help me decide how I feel about the conflict.
And it's a weird thing because it's like I'm having the conversation. I'm like, I don't know. I'm up there with the people who have like raised the most awareness about what was going on in the war in Yemen. And it's like, I can talk about it. I know what's happening. I don't need to see it. It's kind of like what you said too. It's like, I don't actually need to like give myself war PTSD over this.
Yep.
Like, I get it. I get how horrible it is.
I used to feel the same way just about like World Star hip hop videos. When that really started being a thing on Facebook, and people would just videos of people fighting. I'm like, well, okay, I understand that this is happening, but what am I gaining by just watching people just be degenerates? Lefty Lucy said, "This is what happens when you allow dual citizens a vote." Say more on that. What do you mean exactly? 3IG said, "Don't the Palestinians support Hamas, and the state is headed by people from Fatah and Hamas?" Yep, that's what I heard. Yep. So the Soul said they don't care about Yemen. They don't care about Libya at all. They only when they can evoke enough feelings to get the people behind the military-industrial complex. Bingo. Yep. Shout out to Soulless Death and Despair, said, "Is war based?" No, war is not based. Peace is fucking based. Prosperity, happiness, family, those are based. War is not based. But welcome, Soulless Death and Despair to the party.
You know, anyway, there's another really interesting clip that you sent me, Rob, that I wanted to play, which was this Mark Lamont Hill clip where he's grilling an Israeli military spokesman.
I saw this on TikTok, and I again, I didn't know that it would be coming back up, but this is a good one. About
their response. This was very interesting. I haven't seen anybody else like this in media actually get this type of aggressive questioning off to an Israeli official. So let's play this video.
Quote, will only deteriorate exponentially, and that crucial life-saving supplies, including fuel, food, and water, must be allowed into Gaza. So The UN is saying you must do this. You are saying you're not going to do this. How do you?
No, we're not saying that.
He's saying doing it immediately. What I'm saying is what you're doing.
No.
He's saying doing it immediately.
Shout out Zippy DSM Lee. War is exactly an excuse.
I got you. I'll tell you exactly what we're saying. I'm saying we will do everything for the Gazan people. Once and now we demand immediate surrender, unconditional surrender of Hamas. If Hamas people come out with their hands up and clear their weapons, believe me, everything will be restored to Gaza. It is Hamas in Hamas hands.
So again, opposite of the Palestinian dude. Everybody's saying, "Look, well, we're the ones trying to be peaceful. If they just be cool, then we'll be cool." Somebody lying.
Thank you for clarifying that, sir. I think we're actually on the same page here. You're saying that once Hamas leaves, you'll grant the Gazan people food, shelter, fuel, electricity, hospitals, schooling. And if they don't, and if Hamas doesn't leave, then they'll continue to starve and die in hospitals. You are defining for the international community right now collective punishment. You're saying until Hamas acts differently, the 2 million people in Gaza are going to be treated this way. And once Hamas acts differently, these 2 million people in Gaza will be treated better. That is exactly what collective punishment is. You're holding them accountable for the actions of others. That is the definition, the textbook definition of collective punishment, sir.
So it's death and despair. Smart said, they know Hamas won't quit. That's why they say that. Interesting. And see, this is the kind of stuff that why I love talking to you guys when you know more about this stuff. That makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Deuces said, not all Palestinians are Hamas. They are humans living in apartheid for religious views. And again, arguable, but definitely the fact that in the same way that not all Americans are, in support of what the American government does and says, then we also have to understand that just because the same thing happens in other countries, that the government will do something, and then the people are like, "Yo, what's good with this?" However, unless the information that I've been getting is incorrect, something like 40% of the people do support Hamas as a governing body. And again, that's just what I heard. I don't know. Any film says the UN has no right to force Israel to send water, electricity, food, shelter, or any of that. Hamas runs Gaza. Shut the F up. Yeah, why can't, if Gaza is not Israel, then where is any other country in the Middle East besides Israel? It's so confusing. I don't can't y'all just chill? Lucy said Hamas were there first. Bunch of spunders. All right, so then you need to leave your home and give it back to a Native American family. Or is that how humans work? That people are in a place and then more people are born and there's not enough space for all the people. And specifically, if you have a stupid dogmatic belief about this one spot, then people don't fight. People are going to go to war. People are going to die. And the winners get the land. That is humanity. I know it's not cute and it's not fun and it's not nice, but it is what it is. How do you change that? Shout out to MK. Welcome to the party. So Palestine harbors Hamas terrorists that hide behind women and children and use them as human shields. Yep. Soulless death and despair said Hamas are the only liberators the people of Gaza have. That's why their support is so high, even if they don't deserve it. And again, I'm just speaking as somebody who is not Jewish, who is not Muslim, who is a staunch atheist living in America and has no ties to the Middle East. I don't care why their support is so high. I care that their support is high. Just like I don't care why Dr. Fauci lied about the masks. I care that he lied about the masks. I don't care why gender-affirming therapists are just letting patients be the ones that diagnose. I just care that they're doing it. When a bad thing happens, what's more important than the blame game is stopping it. So this is why Trump wanted to hold out on aid, because Hamas will not use it for the people. Fair enough. 100% of Palestine don't vote. True. But, again, we do have to, like, that is what the government is saying. And it's not all, but it is a large amount. And everybody's asking apartheid. How? 20% of people living in Israel Arab, 0% of Jews live in Gaza. Israel has no troops in Gaza. Hamas runs Gaza. Sounds like a lot of cope from Hamas. Fonseca said Yasser Arafat was before Hamas. Okay, get a little bit of a timeline there. Fair enough. He was from the PLO movement. Wasn't that the same thing that was turned over to Hamas?
Now you may accept that that's what you want to do, but this is absolutely a contravention of international law.
Well, I'll tell you exactly. No, had we pushed into,
call it out, Scarecrow. If you can enlighten us, please do. No offense will be taken.
The wall. We're not pushing them to the wall. We want to open a humanitarian corridor so they can leave. But if Hamas,
so that who can leave? Citizens? You're saying civilians can leave, but only through the Rafah border, correct?
At this point, yes.
So they can't come.
Where else?
Your country. They can come into Israel.
I'm telling you one more thing I want to say.
I want you to address that point. Don't just smile, sir. Respectfully, you're saying you're making a corridor. They can go to Egypt. You're bombing them. You say you want to save them, but they can't come in.
What? First of all, I'm not smiling. I'm crying in my heart.
He's crying in his heart, Rob.
Come on, bro. And so, if you're talking about mainstream media, I absolutely agree with you. That's why we're not watching MSNBC or CNN or Fox News or anything like that. But absolutely, there are people who in America who are genuinely looking to find legitimate information. So if you're talking about, you should definitely watch Al Jazeera over CNN, I would say maybe you want to dig even a little bit further. CD said Israel has troops in Gaza. There are military checkpoints that prevent travel. So even in here, there's less than 20 of us here. And we are getting a lot of conflicting information that you all seem to know. And this is where I get back to my position. How the fuck do you know this shit? Who told you this? And how do you know that they know? How do you know that they aren't trying to, whatever? Spin the narrative, propaganda, the whole deal. How do you know? That's not an accusation. That's a genuine question. I would love to be able to know where I can find legitimate sources. I have people who I listen to, like Dave Smith, who I trust. He's giving a good enough understanding as an American. But where do you find this shit?
It did seem like a smile to the naked eye.
To be fair, nervous smiling is a thing. And if he knows he's caught, then it might not be that he's laughing at the dead people, though it might be. But just like, oh, no, I'm screwed.
But we probably just don't understand that it really represented tears. Look, there's kind of just no getting around that. And I think Mark Lamont Hill did a very fair job there of saying, like, look, you're turning off water, electricity, and medical supplies to over 2 million Palestinians. And the UN is saying...
So that's straight up from Al Jazeera. That's straight up Al Jazeera. I'm not too familiar with Lamont Brown is his name. I'm not too familiar with him. But again, that's just... It's the kind of thing for me personally, because I focus so deeply on street level culture issues, and that's what my show is about. Again, I go into the weeds on that stuff, and there's only so much that you can know. You can't know everything about everything. And so I'm fine saying that, this is not my wheelhouse. If there was something else going on in America, I would happily be talking about it. But there ain't shit going on, but everybody taking sides in a war that has nothing to do with America, and it's. Stephanie Miller says, once upon a time, the news reported the facts. Remember that? Well, maybe they did. How would you know? Who fact checked the fact checkers? Definitely got worse, but yeah. And that's where I listen to shows where they're going to bring people on who are doing that. And I want to watch somebody like a Dave Smith or a Tim Pool where I know where their biases lie, so that when they say something that maybe I don't agree with or maybe sounds a little off, I can put that in context of, oh, okay, that's because Tim is a little bit of a doomer. Or that's because Tim is, this, that. Or that's because whatever the case may be. But I have to have those people as a barrier that, like, okay, I know that I can trust this person to a certain level. And that is as far as my confidence is going to go. I'm never going to tell you guys that I'm an expert on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. That is not ever going to happen. I'm not going to, that's just not going to happen. And that's okay. That's okay. Any Film says there are checkpoints at the border between Gaza and Israel. They don't have random checkpoints in Gaza. Israel offered Gaza to Egypt to take over, and Egypt said, no, thank you. Somebody was there. Where's there? Any Film said, wait, so this libertarian is saying that Israel needs to supply water, energy, medical supplies to food for its enemy for free? No, I don't think so. I think he's just saying that the guy who was talking was full of shit. They're like, oh, my heart hurts. My heart hurts. We're starving these people, but their heart hurts. I think that's all. He's just commenting on that. I don't think he's really addressed it yet. Scarecrow says, quote, every American is taking a side in a war that has nothing to do with America. Side is the best thing I've heard in a week. All right, I will take it. I will take it. Drink to that. It's okay to be a fence sitter, guys. You don't have to pretend you know everything, because I know that you don't. You know you don't. They know you don't. Nobody knows everything. So just know what you know. Stay in your lane and know what you know and learn what you don't. MK said the Jewish people were displaced many, many years ago. They never gave up their homeland. They went back and cultivated the land, built homes and irrigation systems to make the land fruitful. Yep. CT said Al Jazeera has credible videos on YouTube about the occupation zone. If it was just a tweet with a blanket statement, I would question it, but the videos are very compelling. Well, are they from this conflict? Are they from last year? This again. That's what I'm saying. It's I mean, I'm taking in all of this information. But again, even within this chat, there's a lot of conflicting things. So how do I know? Nick says, are you seeing any correlation between political party and who they are more likely to support? Absolutely. BLM. You've been dealing with some ish. So you probably haven't seen this. BLM parachute meme. So this is what Black Lives Matter had to say on the issue, specifically with the that event. So not surprising to see that all the lefties are like, oh, well, I guess we're going to be for Palestine then. Yeah. It's so pathetic. It's so pathetic how quickly people are able to just be like, oh, okay, we're supposed to be on this side? Okay. Free Palestine.
Loser.
Now, this is like absolutely in violation of international law, and you can't do this. You have to turn that back on. And they're like, yeah, we will. As soon as Hamas surrenders, which, look, frankly, we all know they're not going to do, right? So, and then to get to this point of well, we're telling the people to leave, and Mark Lamont makes a very good point. Like, why not just let them in to Israel? And then, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Now,
shout out to Jordan Peterson. Not sure who Beavis is, but I'll definitely have to look into that. Thank you, sir.
They can argue that there's security reasons why they can't do that and stuff. But I think the bottom line is that what it comes down to is that both the United States of America and Israel, and you could argue that Russia came to this conclusion.
So 70 says this has a lot to do with us. For Hamas, this is terrorist acts, and they want Israel gone in the same way the people that back them, aka Iran, wants America gone. We are absolutely involved, and that is what scares me. That is what scares me. How do we be less involved? How do we tell Israel, yo, you got shit going on. Go handle your shit. That's your shit. Just because we're allies doesn't mean we're parents. Just because we're allies doesn't mean we're bodyguards. We're certainly not the world police.
Over the last couple of years, but they're just kind of like, oh no, we don't have to follow international law. Like, we don't play by those rules. We'll bomb the shit out of another country for not following international law, but we don't have to. And there is this kind of incredible lack of caring about Palestinian life to just say like, oh yeah, well, we'll give them what, we'll turn their water back on and electricity back on under these circumstances. But if these circumstances aren't met, then we're just not going to give it to them. Sorry. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
So maybe Andy filmed what you were saying before about this libertarian saying that. I'm hoping that Robbie, the bell guy here, is going to come in and be like, why can't Egypt do it? Why can't Jordan do it? Why does it have to be the enemy that's supplying them? That's very odd. I did not expect that from Dave Smith. But again, not my wheelhouse. So if it makes more sense to you, please explain it. Scarecrow says, no war's ever been won using only airstrikes. If that was possible, you could have done it in Vietnam instead of sending troops there and getting your ass kicked. What do you call World War II? Did we not just drop two bomb and end the war? Is that not what happened? Nick says, we elect a leader instead of the puppet we have. Let's go. Vivek or MAGA 2024. Zippy says to Bonzig, America wants to take over sovereign nations so badly. Russia and Iran are at the top two, and they got bordered with Afghanistan. So he says they hate us as much as Israel. Now, because of Israel, they've always hated us. They teach their children to hate us. Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with their dogma. American classical liberal Enlightenment values are antithetical to those of Islamic values, and it's they believe that we are creating a worse world for us and for them, and so they need to save us by eradicating us.
What?
So let's see. We got our poll. Who will these wars help more? 78% of you said Trump. When I was putting the question, my thought would be whose pockets would be lined better by the wars. In which case, it's clearly and very obviously Biden. But it seems like you guys are interpreting it that because the wars are happening, that it is going to help Trump's case for a president. Is that am I interpreting your interpretation correctly? CT said, I want to be clear. Me pushing back on you is on you all is not me condoning what Hamas has done. They are a terrorist organization funded by Iran and Qatar. I'm just saying there's a lot of innocent people. Yes, that is. Thank you for being clear on that, because it is confusing. It's confusing. There are both people who are trying to hurt others, and there are people who are innocent, and there's a slight overlap. Because innocent, how innocent are you if you're not hurting anybody, but you're in favor of the government hurting people just because they're Jews? You know, it's just a little bit simple. So read your mind, word up. What's not necessarily true about Muslims hating American? It's more about how many of them we killed over the years. Very fair, very fair. Yeah, no argument there. You are correct, sir. Lefty Lucy said Trump is the king of Israel, so yeah, it'll help. Fair enough. All right, let's see what Robbie thinks about that interview.
Well, we're just not going to give it to him. Sorry. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the Israelis are playing some real weasel tricks here, where they like to say it's collateral damage.
Remember, these guys are both Jewish and very much libertarian. Just to keep that at the forefront.
Civilian life lost is collateral damage at the hands of Hamas, and it's a ridiculous game to me that they're dropping these leaflets telling people, a million people, that they got to head south, and now having a leaflet fall on your house telling you that you have to head south is like you've been tagged, you're it, that you're now a human shield. You're no longer a person. If you stay, you are now a human shield, and so Hamas is at fault for your death, not the Israelis for having told you because they tagged you.
Good to know, Bonzig. Good to know.
They give you a leaflet, so now you're collateral damage. It's very similar to, and maybe we can even play the clip from last week of what's his name, the lawyer guy on Fox,
Alan
Dershowitz on Fox, where he's saying that Israel is never.
Oh, sorry, I don't know. I don't know. I barely know. I guess the politics area is a lot better than the just chatting area, because usually we got nobody from Twitch. So if there's an issue, just let me know and I'll try to figure it out from here. But sorry.
Ever killed a civilian. It's
yeah. Why don't you bring that video up, Brian? It's in our text our text thread there that we had. But yeah, it's like the idea that, and now also, by the way, that corridor that they're telling them they have to leave through, it was also being bombed. There's some there's a lack of clarity, I guess, about who exactly was bombing them. It was first reported that it was Israel was bombing the exit. Now some people are claiming that it was actually Hamas bombing them and trying to make it look like it was the IDF doing it.
That's the kind of shit right there. That's the kind of shit right there. I'll come back to this a bit, but that's the kind of shit right there. It's like the level of false flag and psyop, and it's a false flag psyop. So the people did it, but they didn't really do it. And where do I start? Where do I start? Who is a person? What is an outlet that I can start and see, okay, this is what happened. This is what these people think. This is what those people think. I don't know. I just don't know.
Regardless of who was doing that, which certainly in the fog of war, especially in the first week of a war, it's hard to be sure about a lot of these details. But regardless of that, for innocent civilians who would like to leave, that now is not a viable option. So what is dropping these pamphlets saying, or these leaflets saying, hey, we'd like you to leave. Okay, now we totally have the right to bomb the shit out of these people.
No.
That doesn't pass the smell test.
I do have to ask, though.
Do you guys agree or disagree with that? Does it pass the smell test? Let's hear it one more time.
For innocent civilians who would like to leave, that now is not a viable option.
Mm-hmm.
So what is dropping these pamphlets saying, or these leaflets saying, hey, we'd like you to leave. Okay, now we totally have the right to bomb the shit out of these people.
No.
I agree. That doesn't, without even really completely understanding what he's saying, doesn't pass the smell test. Zibby says the U.S. people are to blame for the crap their politicians do to them. Yeah, this crap has to stop somewhere. If you ignore the world around you, you're going to you're going to be blamed for the crap that hits you. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, as much as it is completely valid that any one of us has zero power to what, the military decides to do. If it was my choice, we wouldn't, and I think a lot of you here, we wouldn't be involved in any of this shit. But Zibby's right. At the end of the day, this is why we have to meet people where they are. This is why we have to talk about the culture war issues. This is why we have to get people excited about politics. And excited, I don't mean like, oh, well, fun. I mean like, oh, this is important. I should pay attention to this. I should read into this. I should make sure that I'm going to this school board meeting. I should make sure I'm going to this town hall, whatever it is. That's why I find it so important to meet people where they are. And most people have lives. And as much as that's not an excuse, very often is a reason. It very often is a reason why people just don't pay attention. And I'm not here to blame any of those people. I don't have a family. I don't have kids. I have a job, but I have two between these two. But part of my job is this. So there has to be a level of understanding at the base level so that we don't get into these situations because people have voted for the wrong things. Shout out to Marco Mouse over on Twitch. Welcome to the party. Is that a Kamzat picture? I like that. Saying that the innocence of Palestinians civvies is in question because their government hates Jews and has support from the population is extremely goofy. It's like saying that the Israelis are legitimate targets because parties like Shah's, who favor the expulsion of Palestinians and have called for the annihilation of Palestinians before, are part of the government and given control of important ministries. That's a lot. So let's break this down. So saying the innocence of Palestinians is in question because their government hates Jews is silly. So yeah, I think I agree with that. We were talking about how many of the civilians in Palestine actually do support Hamas. So, separating, well, Hamas is not the government. Technically, but also it is. It's like saying Israeli are legitimate targets, which they are not, because people who favor the expulsion of the Palestinians. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you're saying just because Israeli forces have spoken about getting rid of the Palestinians, it doesn't make it okay either way. Just because one side has said that the other side needs to die doesn't mean that it's okay for the side that was said to have needed to die goes and hurts civilians. If that's what you're saying, I completely agree with you. Welcome, Marco Mouse to the party.
That doesn't pass the smell test.
I do have to ask, though, because, obviously the magnitude of what's happening here is a lot larger. But collective punish, isn't that kind of, it seems to me like that's actually used universally. Like we don't really trade with North Korea. It would be better for the North Koreans if we interacted with them. And you got people who are starving in North Korea. I don't think South Korea lets them out. Or, how are we treating?
I don't think that's right about South Korea letting them out. Yeah, that's right. I don't think that's right about South Korea. I think South Korea will take.
You mean if you flee from North Korea, South Korea will let you, if you can just get past, you're good?
Yeah, they've taken a few defectors, and I think it's very hard for people to get out.
So Marco Mouse clarifies, saying, my point is that civilians are still civilians, even if they support extremist actors. Otherwise, you're going to run out of civilians very quickly. True. But in the same way that, as Zippy is saying, that at the end of the day, Americans voted in the politicians who are doing all the things that we don't like and creating geopolitical issues all around the world. At the end of the day, we voted those people in. Maybe not me specifically, maybe not you specifically, but as an American people, we did that. The government, these forces don't do anything without support from normal people. So even if they are civilians and if you support extremism in any form, that's not okay. That doesn't mean you need to die, but it's very wrong. There's a gradient between doing something wrong and doing something so wrong that you need to die. MK said stolen elections have consequences, and listening to fake news for world history does as well. Indeed, everyone needs to wake up. Hamas and Hezbollah are evil and hate anyone who does not agree with their beliefs. That is what dogma does to your brain. I'll take a couple more. Stephanie says, yes, South Korea will take them if they get that far. I must be missing something. Same goes for the Israelis. Yep, they hate a lot of people. Marco said Netanyahu has been extremely cool with the far-right Zionists to encourage settlers attacking Palestinian civilians in the West Bank, and that still doesn't make them not civilians. I agree with that. Yes, I don't think that regardless of what the Palestinian civilians think, if they are not being the attackers of innocent people, because again, when we say civilians in countries where you have to be part of the military, it gets a little, but innocent people who are not actively fighting, not actively engaged in the conflict, then they shouldn't be hurt, even though the things that they support are still horrible, and they should not be supporting those things. That's the nuance there. Marcus says, so we should apply that to the people of Gaza as well. Sounds good to me.
In general,
Right.
but your point is well taken about like sanctions and things like that. That is certainly collective punishment for what the government has done.
True.
Right.
Very true.
And just military actions in general. No, but sanctions, I think, are probably the most egregious, like, short of like carpet bombing and like full out war. I think they're an egregious example of that, where we actually go like, if you think about it, sanctions on take any of the countries we've had strict sanctions on, whether it's Iran or Cuba or whatever, North Korea, wherever. It's not as if their rulers aren't still living lavishly.
Right.
It's not as if they're not still in palaces, right? Like all we're doing is saying we are going to punish the people who are under this repressive,
to try and get them to overthrow their government,
Yes.
which never happens.
Right, exactly. So, and one of the things that's really crazy about it is that oftentimes democracy will be used as the excuse, like this country isn't democratic. Although that doesn't matter, of course, in areas where it does. Like the doctrine is like that we must bring democracy to Iraq and Iran and whatever.
That worked out well, didn't it? Stop playing world police.
Cuba.
And to our conversation, stop voting for people who want to be world police.
Cuba or whoever, but not so much in, Palestine or in Egypt or in Saudi Arabia or places like that. So, but we'll use that as an excuse, that like.
Okay, so Scarecrow says, I think we have two completely different definitions of terrorists. Okay, so how do you define terrorist? Let's start with Google and see. Okay, so let's go with the FBI terrorism definitions. All right. So international terrorism, which is what we're really talking about. Can we make that? Yeah, okay. Violent criminal acts committed by individuals and or groups who are inspired by or associated with designated foreign terrorist organizations or nations state-sponsored. And then, of course, domestic terrorism, violent criminal acts committed by individuals and or groups to further ideological goals stemming from domestic influences, such as those of political, religious, social, racial, and environmental nature. So that works for me. Violent criminal acts committed by individuals. So terror, that's terrorism. So the terrorist would be the people who are doing the violent criminal acts, the groups or the individuals who are associated with designated foreign terrorist organizations like Hamas, or nations like Palestine, which are state-sponsored, the state-sponsored. So where is the disagreement? Or do we not have a disagreement? I'll star this and come back to it. Nick says it's always going to cause problems when three major religions claim the right to the same place. You can't usually reason with religion. There's just too much dogma in the way of the thought for that.
Bingo.
Yep. Hey, shout out to Sam Willard. Welcome to the party. Said authoritarian regimes will not allow any outside involvement in their countries. They don't want them, but unfortunately, I think the American government is all too gung ho to get involved, despite what anybody thinks. And I'm not about it. I'm with indie film. Bring them home. Bring them home. Zippy said, so Hamas are not terrorists? What a wonderful world you live in.
What?
All right, so wait, are you agreeing that Scarecrow, are you agreeing that Hamas is not terrorists? So we gave you, we got a definition for terrorism here. You're the one who brought up definition. So how would you define a terrorist? I'll just just pull this back down here in case we need it.
Like out in, you know, whatever, Cuba or whoever, but not so much in, you know, Palestine or in Egypt or in Saudi Arabia or places like that. So, but we'll use that as an excuse, you know, that like, well, this guy's a tyrant and that's why we have to sanction them. But if you really think about it, wouldn't that be that much more of a reason why it's so evil to punish the people?
Yeah, CT is saying it's interesting how this is making people debate in an honest way, and it's alarming what these honest positions actually are, because the same people who are you know, in one way or the other, all about, you know, America, all about peace, all about are like, yeah, fuck them up. It's weird. It's weird. Sam Lord says, what people don't seem to understand is that, yes, the Jews kicked some folks from the land after being given the territory by the UK in 1947. All the Arabs had been on the side of the Nazis in World War II. More complexity, right? Shout out to Cottonmouth. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. Said Hamas has an ass whooping coming. Hopefully, hopefully. CT says to any film, I never said to give aid to Hamas. We shouldn't give aid to any of these groups, including Israel. Well, and again, are we? I don't know if does that include the aid that we already have promised them as allies, or are you saying what I'm saying is that whatever has been promised, like, okay, fine, whatever, that's a different issue. I just don't want this Hamas attack to be like, okay, well, now we need $7 bajillion. That's where I'm worried about.
Because you don't even have the argument that like the people are voting for this. You're like, oh, they don't even have a say in this. They're just ruled by this person. So yeah, you're absolutely right that collective punishment is not something that Israel has invented here. But
yeah, Zibby says if we're gonna do something, we should end Palestine. If not, we should do nothing. And I agree with Scarecrow that it's not going to be that simple, but that in no way makes this, what Zibby is saying, you know, an incorrect or invalid or inaccurate or unreasonable statement. So fine, if we're not going to end Palestine, then we should do nothing until 7th graders know how to read, until you can drink from the tap. Then I don't want my tax dollars that I work hard for to go elsewhere. How are we pouring from an empty cup? Reasons. That's why.
But they certainly are exercising it in a pretty brutal way. All right, let's go to that clip that you wanted to show. This is on Hannity, so you know it's going to be a very thoughtful, intelligent conversation. He had Alan Dershowitz there to argue the pro-Israeli side, and he had Cornel West.
Oh my God. Oh God. Oh man. I just need a minute. After the last time we talked with Cornel West, let's just take a drink real quick. All right, everybody ready? Everybody ready for more Cornel West? CT says, yeah, no more funding. We have already built Israel up to a top world military. They don't need extra funding for this. Agreed. Lefty Lucy says, too late for picking sides and sending money aid. The damage has been done. We're all in it till its biblical end. Well, again, that's kind of what Zippy's talking about. That's kind of what I'm talking about. If it's going to be a biblical end where the entire world is going to explode, why don't we just take out the problem area? This is war. There's no nice solution here. Exactly as you're saying, it's too late to fix things. Somebody's got to lose. I'm not happy about it, but it is what it is.
Candidate, is he on, I think, for the Green Party or something, some lefty party. So yeah, let's play a little bit of that.
Brother. Okay. That's the what they are largely right.
Brother Hannity, I want a brother, your brother, your brother. Brother me, your brother?
But lacking nuance. No.
All right, let's do a count. How many times he says brother?
I didn't say lack nuance. That's the title of the piece.
Okay.
My actual words were, I'll just be very honest.
I got it here in front of me.
The words to it. The words were that Israel's policies of war crimes and collective punishment against Palestinians
I'll read
set
it
a
to you.
context,
Israel and the United
and
States
Hamas
are
must take
primarily
responsibility for killing innocent people. Anybody who kills innocent people are engaging in barbaric acts.
Okay, so far I agree.
You said
No matter
Israel,
who they
hang
are,
on, let me
what
quote
color,
you.
what nation, and so forth.
Israel and the United States are primarily
The United States has
responsible.
supported and enabled.
You explain to this audience. I want you to explain how is Israel and the United States responsible for beheading 40 children? How?
I'm talking about the context. 545 Palestinian children died in August 2004. Not one American said a word. I believe a Palestinian baby has the same value as an Israeli baby. So when you have that kind of vicious hatred and revenge,
Nobody, I mean, I see that they're showing, you know, all of this stuff here, but anyone legitimately engaging in this is not saying, well, yeah, let's kill those people because they're bad, and let's keep these people because they're good. Well, I think one life has just as much value as another. That's not really what the fuck we're talking about, bro. There's a war.
you get response of hatred and revenge. They are all wrong. They're all war crimes. They're all to be condemned. But you cannot simply look at this particular moment without the larger backdrop of an ugly occupation and the ugly attacks chronically against Palestinians.
Those are not your words. Largely right. Israel and the United States are primarily responsible for this attack. Professor Dershowitz.
Well, I complained when Palestinian children were killed, but I explained why they were killed. Here is one of the leaders of Hamas. For the Palestinian people, death has become an industry. The elderly excel at this, and so do the children. This is why we have formed human shields of the women and the children. Hamas is the ones responsible for the killing of Palestinian children. Also, Hamas has a term. It's called the CNN.
Let's pause it right here. But by the way, because there's a lot of tricks that get used.
Or might we say tricks, or might we say semantic obfuscation? Using words in a way that they are not meant to be used to give a message that that doesn't match those words, so that you sound good. Sounds like anything I talked about before? Maybe a little bit. I don't know. So the value of life means little as long as people are killing each other. I disagree. I think the value of life is very high. That doesn't mean that there are. That's precisely why we want to find some sort of whatever we could call a resolution to this, because the value of human life is very high. But yet, in war, that value is superseded by the collective. One individual person doesn't have the value of life more than 5 people, more than 10 people, more than 1,000 people, more than 1,000,000 people. Mike W says, this is a simple way I see it. If Israel's on the planet, it's better for the planet. If Palestine gets the land, the world is worse off. A lot of people are saying that. Any film said, Cornell West, Israel is killing innocent ... sees video of Hamas attacks Israel, ARPing, kidnapping, murder of innocents ... never mind. Whoops. Oh, that's a good one. I need a whoops button. Whoops. I don't know. We'll work on it. Mike W said, are used to not something used to not be for social programs, but damn, if you're gonna spend the money somewhere, might as well spend it on us.
Bingo.
Yep. So the Soul agrees with Zippy that China is a big deal. This Holy Land stuff will take over the minds of the people, though. More of a look over here where we tell you a little bit of misdirection. Another thing that scares me is that this is an issue and not even the biggest one that we're dealing with at the same time. Ooh! Comment of the night. Cheers to that. Oh, I'm empty. Hold on. I got to drink to that. Hell yeah, I'm doing that.
Dilly dilly.
To Soul the Soul. Great idea.
In the framing of all of this stuff. And so, look, even if the human shield thing, which some of their claims of being a human shield are a little bit dubious. sometimes you're like, well, what do you really mean? Like that they use people as human shields? You know, there's that the Israeli propaganda meme, which is like an Israeli soldier fighting in front of a carriage with a baby, and then it's Hamas fighting in back of a carriage with a baby, and it's like that's, you know what I mean? Like basically being like, oh, there's an asymmetry here. Like these guys are fighting so their kids don't get killed. These guys are fighting to put their kids in front of them. It's not exactly as if that's what Hamas does. It's more the claim is that they'll store munitions in hospitals and things like that. I think there have been examples of them doing this, but
that's only so much of a difference. That's only so much of a difference because you know that militaries are going to target those areas. And so it's quite literally exactly the same. I don't understand how it's different. They're like, well, I'm not physically putting a kid in front of me. I'm just putting a kid in front of where the bombs are going to be. What? Sounds like a human shield to me. Unless I don't know what a human is and I don't know what a shield is. Please, correct me. So, guys, we are hitting the 2.5 hour mark. If you would like to keep the party raging, you know how to do it.
Look, even if it was the most cartoonish version of this, right? Like, you know, you're watching a movie and the bad guy has like a little girl with a gun to his head and the good guy's got the gun pointed at the guy and he's like, ah, damn it, I can't shoot now because he's got this little girl in front of him. Like, if that guy in the movie just shot the little girl in the head, like, you still wouldn't just be like, well, I mean, it's the bad guy's fault. He held up a little girl.
Exactly. And yeah, Lefty Lucy saying, sounds like Israel bombs kids to me. Yes, that's why this is so difficult, because there are no good guys. There's just a whole shit ton of bad guys, and then a bunch of people who are not directly involved. Again, as far as I understand it. And not being involved just means physically not doing things, but supporting all the fuckery that is going on.
So I'm going to shoot him in the head. You know, you'd still be like, whoa. Like, if you watch that in a movie, you'd be like, whoa, you're not the good guy anymore. Like, I can't. That's not like acceptable. Like, even if that does make, if this were all completely true in the most cartoonish version, that would make Hamas evil. It still would not exactly be an excuse for you to just kill the kids. So that's
it would not. Sounds like Israel bombed kids to me. Yeah, Zibby says both sides are using innocence to make them be seen as the good guy. And that's why it's so frustrating when American people who don't even know about our own country are rah, Israel, rah, Palestine. When, again, it's not like this wasn't going on last week. This is just the most recent attack. So where the fuck have you been if you care that much? And if you don't care that much, then why are you cheering for innocent people dying? Oh, I don't know. I just thought, like, PLM said, so, like, fucking, I just thought it was like,
Point number one. Number two, this thing that they do, where they kind of like read off, like, this is the most fucked up thing that a guy from Hamas has said, and he said this, therefore, doesn't that sum up the whole situation? Just saying, you could go through some quotes of what Israeli leaders have said over the years.
These people are animals and we'll treat them as such. That was like a week ago.
Yes, I mean,
I don't even know if that was a direct line, but it's a quote.
From almost every prime minister of Israel from 1948 through today, you can find quotes of them talking about how Palestinians are dogs and deserve to die. They're animals. There's no innocent Palestinians, all types of like really horrific shit like this. So it's just, you pick out a quote and then you frame the issue as like, look, we have these civilized people who want peace versus these people who are saying that they're all about death. And it's like a framing tactic to just pick out one of these quotes and then kind of go from there. And they'll say these things like, you know, they'll be like, well, you know, in the founding charter of Hamas, it says that all the Israelis should be pushed into the sea or like something like that.
And what is it, from the desert to the sea or something? I don't know, but yeah. Shout out to Indy Phil with the 690. See what you did there. Marty, Marty, you want to come up? Come here. The party rages on. Thanks to Indie Fam. Come on. No, he's sleeping. He's sleeping. But I am saving it here. Every single super chat or donation comes with a treat for Morty. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, sir. Very, very much appreciated.
And it's not like it's untrue. It's like, yeah, there's things like that in there, and it's pretty bad. But like the founding charter of the Likud party says that Israel ought to take over all of the land. All of Gaza and all of the West Bank. That is all Israeli territory. It's like, okay, that's not great either, right? Like so you can look at a lot of these things that are like, yes, there is rhetoric on all sides that is pretty horrible, and I'm fine with calling it out. It's just like you should call it all out.
Yep.
That's all. Okay, let's keep playing.
The CNN strategy is induce Israel into killing Palestinian children by using them as human shields, then parade the bodies out on CNN, and you'll see what happens. People like Cornel West will engage in crocodile tears, blame it on Israel, when the entire blame is on the Palestinians, Hamas, for using their children as human shields, and then using their children as shields to permit the killing of Israeli children.
What is Hamas's charter? I have the same outrage when Palestinian babies are killed, when Jewish babies are Israeli babies. I want you to have the same indignation when Palestinians are killed.
Not when they're killed. Not when.
Decent point. Decent point. Whether you believe what he's saying is another thing. But he's saying, look, I'm not cheering when Israeli children are dying, but you shouldn't be cheering when Palestinians are killed. Even if you think that it is Hamas's fault, then as we're all saying, there's a difference between the people who are doing these things and innocent people. Even if there's not a huge difference ideologically, there is a difference. There is a difference. So he says everyone remembers what Hitler did to the Jews, right? I think he made them walk on water or something. We ignored that and see what happened. What Hamas and Iran want to do to Israel has every right to keep them from that happening again. But the problem is that now Israel, the Jews, Israel has a military that can handle this, according to what everybody here is saying. So how does America fit into this? I don't get it. Lovely Lucy said, is it the Muslims' fault that Jews have been banished from almost 200 countries? Yeah, I think so. Right? Which follows up, Hitler relocated Jews to Israel like they asked. I mean, oof. I'll let you die on that note. I'm not cheering for Hitler in any respect. MK said Israelis aren't going into Gaza taking women, children, and elderly as hostage when they're not torturing, ARPing, or killing them. Show the world. I'll wait. Sam Willard says they promptly elected Hamas. No election since. Israel has been attacked at an almost annual rate. So again, anybody trying to say good guy and bad guy, I can see your bias. Now it's okay to have a bias, but don't act like it's not there.
They're killed by Palestinians when you can't make a moral comparison. When Nazi kids were killed in the bombings of Dresden, I didn't have the same comparison when Jewish kids were put in gas chambers and crematoriums. You're a professor of theology. Don't you understand the moral difference between deliberately murdering a kid and having collateral damage because there are human shields? You're running for president of the United States. What would you do? Wait, let me tell you. Let me ask the question. Let me ask the question.
Okay.
What would you do if terrorists were firing at American children in America, and the terrorists were hiding behind Palestinian children? Would you allow the killing of Americans to continue, or would you go and get the terrorists, even if it meant possibly collateral damage on Palestinians? What would you do?
I'll tell you exactly what I would do. First, truth and morality tend to be two casualties in any context of war. I would want to tell the American people the truth. I would tell them what the context is, how we found ourselves.
Your version of the truth.
In this situation. And I would not jump for a military invasion and a genocidal attack on a
genocidal attack?
Hey, I mean, a clown is right at least once a year, right? That's the best I got for Cornel West.
No, it's not a genocide
where are they supposed to go?
when you're
Where are they
killing
supposed to go?
terrorists.
This is like Warsaw, 1943. Where do they go?
Where do they go?
Yes.
Let me tell you where they go. They go to the UN.
UN
is
from
keeping
Gaza to
they
Geneva?
They go to no. The UN has places in Gaza. They go to the Rafah
11
crossing.
UN people have been killed in the last few days.
Let 'em talk.
Go to Egypt. They go.
Egypt, how they
wait a
can't get
minute.
out.
Notice how when Cornel West is here and he's in his wheelhouse, he's ready to go. But when he was on Jimmy Dore, he's like, Trump's fascist. Yeah, you know. So it said, so the soul said, I was raised Christian, and though I left it, congratulations, I still remember, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. No side is innocent anymore. That includes the U.S. and the UK. It goes back too far. Well said. Well said. Lefty Lucy says, but all of Israel hates all goy, yet Muslims are the bad guys. It's not about hate. It's about violence. It's not about, you can hate whoever the fuck you want. That doesn't mean you can kill them. And I'm not taking sides. I'm not saying Israel is right. I'm not saying Muslims are right. I'm saying those who kill innocent people are all the bad guys. And so if that's happening on the Israel side and that's happening on the Palestinian side, then they're all bad. And we need to level the fucking place if we're going to do anything. Or, which would be much preferable, let them deal with it on their own. I have yet to hear, I'm ignorant as fuck on this stuff. I have yet to hear why the U.S. needs to be involved any more than we already are. So he says, okay, but we need to help anyone fight terrorism. Disagree. This is not picking sides in a war. These are terrorists, and they hate us maybe even more than they do Israel. So why do we have to fight all the terrorism in the world? Why? Yes, they're terrorists. But as we've been talking about, we've been building up their military specifically for that reason. So how about this? Israel gives us back every red cent that has ever been sent from America from the U.S. to Israel, and then we'll level the place and give them the entire territory. Call it Israel, and Palestine will not exist. How about that? I'm down with that. Give us every goddamn cent back. Then we can have a conversation. Daniel says, how does this dude look like Don King with none of the charisma? Good one. Any film said, wait, Cornel West said Warsaw 1943. Isn't that when all the Jews were being rounded up in Poland? What the F, dude? I didn't hear, but maybe hold on that back. Yeah, his version of the truth. Lefty Lucy said 43 was when Hitler shipped the Jews to Israel. And he said, I'm definitely pro-Israel, but do not want the U.S. to interfere. Yeah, just after the Jews declared a war on Germany. Sam says the Muslim countries declared a war on Israel, not the other way around. Egypt closed the border. It was not bombed by the Jews. They hate America too. The regular population are welcome to return. And I don't know what's that for, but Nick is with Indy, and I'm pretty much with Indy as well. Maybe not so pro-Israel, but on the not wanting the U.S. to interfere. Let's run this back. See what he was saying about Warsaw.
Where are they supposed to go? Where are they supposed to go? This is like Warsaw, 1943. Where do they go?
Where do they go?
Yes.
Let me tell you where they go. They go to the UN. UN is keeping
from Gaza to
they
Geneva?
go to no. The UN has places in Gaza. They go to the Rafah crossing.
UN people have been killed in the last few days.
They go to Egypt. They go.
Egypt, how they
wait a
can't
minute.
get out?
Let
Come
me
on,
make another
brother.
thing clear.
No,
Gaza City is very dense. But
Absolutely.
Gaza
It is
itself, the Gaza Strip, there's lots of room. The Israelis have said, get out of Gaza City. Go to Rafah. Go to Khan Yunis. Go to other places. And you know what Hamas is
no
saying?
water, no
Wait a
food,
minute.
no electricity.
You know what Hamas is saying?
So all right, let's just pause it for a second. Again.
So for the we go there. Daniel says people can love my country. People can hate my country. If you hate my country and you stay the fuck out of my country, I don't care. I said, shit, me too.
And it's not, look, even the example that Alan Dershowitz makes there, where he says, well, look, like there were children who died in Dresden or whatever. There were children who died, in the bombing campaigns against the Nazis. But no, I don't feel as bad for them as I do for the Jews who died in the Nazi. And I don't know. I do. Like I don't.
That's what I'm saying is that like we don't have to. There's no purpose to saying, well, which children dying was worse. That's such a weird conversation. Children are dying. That's not enough. Sam said even Dershowitz is listened to by the left. Very dense, Alan said. That is one way to put it. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Children dying definitely is horrible. Yeah.
Don't blame the children for the rise of the Nazis. And like, to me, I go, yeah, that was an innocent kid who died in that too. Like, why are we not supposed to have any feeling for them? Or why is it like that doesn't make sense to me. As a Jewish person, I don't see how that makes sense. I don't see how that kid, like, I feel bad for any kid who got killed, who's like, had no responsibility in any of this. And I guess, yeah, the question almost would come down to like, how much did they suffer before they died? I'd rather they suffered the least amount if they were to ultimately die. But I just don't see that as being like a very compelling point. And then the other thing that he's pointing out, I mean, look, this is all just, it's like your thing about the point you were making about dropping the leaflets. Like this just doesn't, it's like, oh no, just go out, just get out of the city and go out into like the wilderness. It's like, with no electricity or water or medical supplies, you're just telling 2.3 million people, just get out there, get out of this city. Like that is just not, that's not practical. That's not feasible as an actual way of avoiding this.
Well, I'm going to say Jew weasel tricks. Hey, we're here and we've got a mission. It's an important mission. We have no intention of hurting any innocent people whatsoever. And there might be collateral damage, but it's their fault if there's collateral damage because we're ignoring all of the facts on the ground of where these people are going.
Yep. So Sam says Hitler Youth was a thing too, which is very, very true. So what is there an equivalent Hamas Youth or, Israeli fighting Hamas force youth too? Because if not, then I don't really know how that's directly relevant. Lefty Lucy said goy dying means less to these people. It's hard to get your head around. Indeed. But again, the only way that you can get here is dogma. That's it. There is no other way that a rational human being can think this except for dogma. CT said over 2,000 Palestinian children have been killed since 2000. That's a lot of kids. That's a lot of fucking kids. Soul the Soul said, oh, they are here. Sleeper cells from a lot of countries. 100% on that. Terrifying. Terrifying. CT said, you disagree, then you don't know the full scope of the extent of this conflict. Well, who does? Who does? Do you? How? Daniel says there's about as many babies aborted in a year. You're not making me care. Well, I mean, certainly we're those are different contexts. So, I mean, as you don't have to, they're not mutually exclusive. You can't care about it's not that you have to care about either the aborted babies or the bombed babies. You can care about any children that die. So, yes, the Palestinians teach their kids to hate Jews. Yes, this is dogma. So I'm telling you guys, question everything. Question everything. CT says that would lead to more children dying. Palestine has a very young population. Well, and they better get their shit together. Indie Film says Shapiro had a training video of Palestinian children 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, talking about killing, stoning, stabbing, shooting Jews. So yeah, there's some Hamas youth. Okay. And how about the Israeli fighting the Hamas youth? I mean, I mean, you know, for those of you who have been here for at least since the 25th, you know that my best friend, my best friend Akon was was Jewish, and certainly was not taught to hate everybody. But maybe you're talking more specifically about people in Israel, although his family was Israeli, and they went to Israel at least once a year, if not more. I don't know, Lucy. I don't know. Sam says Lucy is right about Balfour. And Stephanie says, hope Israel doesn't think about it too long before they help us. Yeah, I don't see that happening at all.
Damage because we're ignoring all of the facts on the ground of where these people are going. It's just, oh, well, they can just go to
go to the UN.
It's La La Land.
Go to
They
the
can go to
UN.
the UN. What, 2 million people are going to fit in a single UN building? What are you talking about?
Yeah, like I don't know exactly what the facilities that the UN has in Gaza are, but I'd be pretty safe in betting it can't accommodate 2.3 million people and keep them out of harm's way. Like, what? This is just it's an utter nonsense. You just want to make it out to be like, no, like the Jews aren't just indiscriminately killing innocent people, but they are. All right, let's keep playing a little more.
Oh, I'm not here to defend Hamas.
Well, you are.
I'm not defending Hamas.
Wait a minute.
You ever lie with me
Did
like
you
that, brother?
ever?
I'm defending.
Yeah, true. He, I mean, for all the shit we can say about Cornel West, this is not him defending Hamas.
The suffering of Palestinians.
I want to hear.
Hamas itself.
I want to hear.
War crimes.
I want to hear you say.
Anybody who commits war crimes are barbaric. I'm saying that explicitly, but I want you to say if the Israeli Defense Forces are killing children, are they barbaric too?
No.
Are they ever barbaric?
No. If they target children,
yes. Have they ever targeted children?
No, absolutely never in the history have they ever targeted a child.
We pause again.
Yeah, we can stop there because that's what we wanted to get to.
It's just the height.
They're getting into it. Sam says, sorry, but if another country got a hold of our cell phones and took them over and said to move, then I would. You live in America? Are you just going to leave and go where? We got guns, motherfucker. We ain't going nowhere.
Height of Jew lawyery of firstly, to make the distinction, well, as long as they're not targeting, it doesn't matter.
So why are you leaving? Why are you leaving? There's more guns than people here.
If you're killing a kid, you're killing a kid. You know, if I go out in my backyard and I line up a kid and I shoot him, that's really terrible. If I decide to go out in my backyard and just shoot machine guns and I'm not targeting kids and I kill a whole bunch of kids, yeah, I guess it's not as barbaric as walking out of my backyard and shooting a kid in the face.
But the kids are still dying.
But I still just walked outside and I shot a machine gun indiscriminately into what could have been a park with kids and kids died.
Bingo. Okay, so they take over the cell phones and they tell you to move. So you go south. Then they're like, actually go to Mexico. And then Mexico is like, nah, fuck that. Where do you go then? What do you do then? Stand your ground. That is crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, move where? Daniel says, let's be open and honest. Always love to be. In any war, both sides commit war crimes. It fucking happens. It's not a good thing. It's not anything we should fucking applaud, but it is a fact of life. Of course. That's just the reality. And yeah, again, Lefty Lucy say, move where? To the next sandbound? They're going to hire a jet? They don't have a cell phone. So the soul said, I'll move. My lead right through them. That's going to be worth fighting for me. Hell yes. Hell yes. I know. Oh, there's a lag. Yeah, but but guess what? But we're asking why are you willing to move? Okay, so then they're not bombing the South, and then because all the people that they wanted to move, which for whatever reason includes you, then they start bombing the South. I don't understand how this solves your problem at all. Now you're just being moved around the country and bombed to a all day Shout out to Xander Crew. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. Said Sam lacks the American patriot spirit. We need to know who is like him. So when shit hits the fan, we know to avoid. Be nice. Be nice. Be nice. Be nice. But welcome to the party. Indie Film said this is a straw man argument. Hamas is using children as shields, and then when they invade, they purposely RP, murder, kidnap, and children. Not the same. Was anybody saying that? CD said, let's be more honest. The U.S. drone strikes weddings and funerals full of kids. All countries commit war crimes, and we're arguing about which ones are justified.
Bingo.
Yep. Gotcha. Thank you, Stephanie.
Well, also,
that.
yeah, also, look,
but you see what I'm saying? The distinction here of, well, if you didn't target it, it doesn't matter. You
and
still
that's
killed
not
the kid.
even, it's even worse than that. Like, I completely get the point you're making, and I agree with it, but it's even worse than that. It's like, if you go, all right, like, let's say one example is you walk into your backyard and you shoot a kid in the face. And the other example is there's a guy in this building you want to.
What were you talking about, bro? Okay, maybe they're not specifically killing kids on purpose, but they're certainly not trying to not kill kids. It's war. How many stories have we heard about our own soldiers going to Iraq or Afghanistan or something, and they're driving along, and there's a kid in the middle of the street? And what do they all say? I've never been in the military, but yet I know that if there's a kid in the middle of the street and I'm driving down my tank or my Humvee or whatever, I'm not fucking stopping. I'm running that kid the fuck over. It's war. It's me or it's you. And if they decide to put the kid out there, it's their fault that the kid's going to die. It's not my fault. That doesn't mean that I didn't kill a kid. This is war. This is why we're trying to fucking make sure that this shit doesn't happen in the first place. Now you get what? What are you talking about? The last thing you said was Jews do not kill kids on purpose. And we're just talking about how on both sides, they are killing kids on purpose. Maybe that's not their intention, that they are seeking out kids to kill, like Hamas may be doing. But as we just had the conversation with the machine gun, in the grand, the grand conversation of what we're talking about, that's splitting hairs. I said, shit, me too. I maybe you get it. I definitely don't. Xander said, both sides of war kill children. And can we talk about how the only people that are given pity are women and children? How about the men dying? Good point. Good point. But you know, they don't. Men are dispensable. But hey, when it comes to actual war, that's how it should be. That's how it should be. We absolutely should send the men out to die and protect the women and children. In a modernized American society and everyday shit, yeah, equal, whatever. But that's how humanity is orientated. The men go and fight and die so that the women can continue. And then, as does humanity. Welcome to the internet. We should figure it out. So who should do nothing? You guys got to be specific. There's a lot going on here.
Kill.
Good rule of thumb. Pronouns are not good to use in the chat because I'm likely not going to know what you're referring to.
You know that there's a bunch of kids in there. You know that firing this machine gun into the building is going to kill some of those kids, and you still do it. And you go, yeah, but I was doing it to kill the guy. I wasn't doing it to kill the kids. It's like, yeah, dude, but you knew there were kids in there. Look, also, by the way, there have been lots of incidents of the IDF actually targeting innocent civilians. So if you want to go Google mowing the grass, this is what they consider their military strategy.
I would do it, but based on the fact that you said if you want to go Google it, I'm going to guess that I can't bring it up on YouTube anyway. So we're going to save that for the after party.
Explicitly involves targeting civilians. It means
I'm going to write that down because we definitely are.
Consider their innocent civilians. So if you want to go Google mowing the grass, this is what they consider their military strategy. It explicitly involves targeting civilians. It means like you have to keep kind of like, you got to keep shelling Gaza and the West Bank in order to like not let them grow too powerful. And it's look, when I was having that debate with Ben Dominic that Will Cain was hosting, at one point he said that line. And this is a line. This is one of the things where the Israeli propaganda, they're very good at kind of repeating these slogans, and they repeat them so much that everyone else starts repeating them, even though they're just not true. They're just not true. You know, how does it go, Rob? It's like
yeah. So right, exactly. So like, you're just gonna do nothing, or you're gonna defend yourself, or you're gonna wait for Big Daddy America to come and fix everything, and then hate us for it. Sam said, "Yeah, those kids will grow up to hate Jews because they will be taught to." Okay. Lefty Lucy said they are making sure the kids are getting water and electricity. Sam 2023. CT said mowing the grass is Israeli striking Gaza to remove military installations. They do it every couple years. There's no good guys here. There's no good guys. Sam says they had all of it plus more and gave most of it back. Who's they? Had most of what and gave most of what back?
You probably know this one. What is it? It's a land without people for a people without land. That was like the original Israeli like slogan. Like that's what Israel was. Look, it's a land without people, and here's the Jews, a people without land.
Oh, it's a perfect fit.
There were people there. Like it's just not true. It's like, you know what I mean? And like, so one of these things that gets mentioned over and over again is that Israel doesn't target civilians. Israel doesn't target civilians. And Alan Dershowitz can actually, with a straight face, say they've never targeted children. Excuse me, as we speak, they have cut off the water, electricity, and medical supplies to 1 million children. I'm sorry. That is targeting children.
Sam, anything to respond to what our dude Dave Smith is saying? I think this is from before that, but Israel had all of Palestine after all the Arab nations around them made war and lost. Right? Okay. What should the Jews do then? I mean, I don't understand the question. I don't understand the question. Like, yeah, that I mean, that's what seems to be logical. Like, there's this like assumption that America has a role in this. What do they do? I gonna be honest, bro. I don't give a flying fuck. I don't. Because there are people in my own country, in my own state, in my own county who are not able to live the way they should be able to live. So what should they do? Whatever the fuck they want. Just leave me the fuck out of it. Repent if you believe in it. But don't kill kids.
Again, this is like, it's like Obama's drone campaign and them claiming that like this isn't really targeting, this is targeting the bad guys. It's like, well, at what point, when you know that 98% of the people killed with these strikes are innocent civilians, and then you keep having these strikes, and you know damn well before you launch them that innocent people are going to be killed, at a certain point, like the reason I'm adding this to your point is that even in the example you used, you go, okay, it's a little bit more brutal to just kill the kid, but if I'm just waving a gun around, like, in effect, I've still killed kids. Like the effect of it is still the same. But I'm saying I agree with you. But then on top of that, when you know when you've gone out every day and shot guns around and it always kills innocent people, and you continue to do it knowing that the result of this is going to be killing innocent people, at this point, there is no distinction left. You're
And so I'm kind of with you here in your film about, you know, libertarian, being super libertarian, but I'm not going to hold him to American libertarianism, because we're not talking about America. America is a society that could operate, by and large, very close to sheer libertarianism. Those values don't exist there, so it's not the same thing. So I don't think you can really throw, well, but I thought you were libertarian. It's like, yeah, for like the dude down the street. I'm talking about geopolitics. That's a very different thing. So I think that's the response that he would give, but I don't know. Equating drone strikes on your enemy to not sending supplies to your enemy are way two different things. And I agree. I think the Jewish bias is coming out, and that's fair. That's fair. You're allowed to have a side, but that's why we are picking this apart. Xander says to Sam, the Jews should fight their own war without dragging Americans into it. And if they can't survive, then it's basic survival of the fittest. I don't understand why that is the wrong position to have as an American who has no connection to Judaism or Israel. Sam says, I hate the killing of kids. It sucks. 98% is hyperbole. 98% of what? Are you saying 90% of people talking about killing kids is hyperbole? I encourage everyone to go to Palestine and find out. I would say probably don't do that. I got that one. Xander said, the same way I don't support the government giving money to dying industries and companies, I don't support holding up any country that cannot defend itself. And if it is to fall, let it fall. You are hitting the nail on the head, brother. Nail on the head.
You're doing the same thing. Whether you're yes, they're not doing it in as viciously barbaric a way as Hamas did it, but it's still the same thing. That's still targeting innocent people. If you commit an act that you know will result in innocent people dying, that is indistinguishable from targeting innocent people. That's what I'd say.
All right,
I will say, go ahead.
No, now that we've beaten up the Israeli response, which I think
it's both.
It's all fair criticism.
It's dogmatic to believe that is the right thing to murder somebody because they're gay or Jewish or anything else.
I guess admits like not being able to readily define, civilian from enemy, particularly
yet. No boots on the ground yet. Supposedly. Yet.
What happened pre-wall with like the civilian bombers. I mean, with the suicide bombers and that kind of stuff. And I still, like I've said, I'm a dumb hippie. I think people get along. I think most of these people just want to live their lives. But how do you get around the punishing of the collective? It's almost like not to endorse it, but it's a little bit of like the Viet Cong problem. It's a little bit, you're kind of in a sticky situation when you can't define specifically who the enemy even is.
Yeah, no, it's definitely tough. I mean, look, I think the only hope for actually making this situation better and moving forward, and I'm not saying this is an easy thing to get to, but you need kind of a new generation of leadership on both sides.
Shout out to Vivek! But to be fair enough, he said a new kind of leadership. No, a new generation. I think Trump just fits in being a new kind of leadership.
Like Netanyahu and Hamas are not going to come to any type of like peace. What I would like to see ideally would be that the Israeli response to this should be to impeach Netanyahu. And I don't know enough about Israeli law, like what he could be charged with, but I do
insurrection.
You know that the guy explicitly used a strategy of building up Hamas as a tool to undermine Palestinian unity. He built up Hamas and then failed in the most spectacular way to protect his people from the threat that he built up. And if that doesn't mean like he should like be forced to go live in fucking Palestine for the rest of his life. But you know what I mean? Like he should just be nowhere near power ever again.
So what do you guys, I hadn't really specifically heard that put together, that it was Netanyahu that funded Hamas to bring destabilization to Palestine. That's obviously not good. But where are you guys on that? Sam said that's the point. Who is the enemy? To me, nobody. Unless somebody's coming here to fuck up my shit. I don't have an enemy in that conflict. Sam goes on to say they will not identify themselves. No Jew and Hamas will come to peace together either. Yep. And yep, that's just what he was talking about. And any film says CT233. Everything I have seen shows now Israeli presence in Gaza or in the West Bank, minus a retaliation for an attack on Israel. By the way, Israel gave up those two locations. Dude, again, I don't know what this is a part of. Lefty Lucy said, like the CIA did with the Taliban. Yep. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay. So good. This is what I wanted your guys' thoughts on. Any film said, what did he just say about that Netanyahu needs to be impeached, even though he didn't know why? No. He said he doesn't know specifically the Israeli law. So he doesn't know the law by which he wants Netanyahu impeached. But he wants Netanyahu impeached, again, based on his words, because he funded Hamas to build to be built up so that the Palestinian government would lose credibility. That's what he said. So that's what I was asking about, asking you guys about. I don't fucking know. So let's hear that. Let's hear that again. Never gave up those locations. There are military checkpoints, blockades. Xander said, I say BN, let it happen on purpose. BN, what's BN? What's BN? Let it happen on purpose to create a need for him and his government. Typical NWO. Benjamin Netanyahu. Got it. Netanyahu let it happen on purpose to create a need for him and his government. Typical NWO false flag operation. Sacrifice real lives for political power and a war excuse. I mean, again, this brings us back to the whole thing. You bring any receipts of anything. How do you know? Like, you can find exactly somebody saying exactly this, and you can say somebody saying that this is a psyop and this is a false flag. So, I mean, you can Google whatever you want. There's enough bullshit that people are grifting and just doing, whatever to define whatever you want. That doesn't mean that it's true. I mean, CNN, I don't give a shit one way or the other. No, BN being Benjamin Netanyahu. Guys, we only got 6 likes in here. God damn, can I just get like 5 more? Damn. Out here hitting the 3-hour mark, can't even get a like on this bitch. Shit. Stephanie said to Zippy, they are already here, waiting for instructions. If we are not there, how do we stop that when it happens? Well, if they're here and we go there, shouldn't we be here? Any film said Israel has Gaza and the Sinai and West Bank after the 10-day war and gave them up for peace. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, I apologize. You can see here, it says 7. Sally, appreciate it. Xander said Israel is too powerful military for this stuff to let happen. Yeah. Again, this goes back to why does America need to be involved? Daniel says, Stephanie, we are directly attacked. I see no need, or until we are directly attacked, I see no need to do a damn thing. Sam says, if you look at what is happening in the world, it becomes obvious that the West is about to be at war with everyone. Yep. Okay. Maybe it's bugging, but they're not going to give fake likes. So, and it's not the first time. So whatever. If you guys have, as long as you guys hit the like button, I very much appreciate it. You can only hit the like button once anyway. So as long as you hit it, it is hit. And if you have not subscribed, what the fuck are you doing? You want to miss this shit? Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. We do this all the time. So CT said to Indie Film, you say gave them up, but still keep them in a lockdown state, separated for religious views. Palestinians can't freely travel. They don't have a trade. They are kept in poverty. But this goes back to why is it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this goes back to why is it Israel's responsibility to give that stuff to the Palestinians? That's what I'm not understanding. It's like, well, Israel's not helping. It's like, they want you to die. I wouldn't help y'all motherfuckers either. Sam said America needs to be involved to make sure that Iran does not activate Hezbollah. I say, let's see what Israel can do. If they got such a great military, and they actually have to fight for their own freedom instead of other people coming in and fighting for them, something tells me they'll be all right. Okay, yeah, so it's definitely off because I'm seeing 7, he saw 6, somebody saw 17, you saw 12. YouTube, right? YouTube. Not lockdown. They attack Jews when they're allowed to enter. That's what I've heard as well. But again, it's just that's the bottom line here, is that there are no good guys. There are a lot of bad guys, but that doesn't mean that everybody involved is a bad guy. It's very complicated. It's very difficult to understand the actual X's and O's. Benefit countries don't fight their own wars. Well, it's about time they do. It's about time they do. So, I mean, hopefully this isn't something that I have to keep covering. Hopefully some other shit happens in our country as we're leading up to a presidential election. That stuff that actually matters to us. Now, again, obviously, this can definitely escalate and, get us into some shit. I'm not saying that, obviously. Thank you, MK. I'm very glad you found the channel as well. So glad you are here. You've had some awesome comments. Yeah, see, YouTube's just bugging. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. As long as you've hit it, I trust it. I trust you. As long as you aren't going to say, fuck you, I'm not hitting the like button, then I trust you. And yeah, I mean, I hope that this is just one more piece in a very one more piece in a very long conflict that doesn't disrupt American lives, or that we have the balls to say, all right, well, if we're going to be involved, we're bringing the whole gang. Because any other way around it not only hurts American lives, but we're going to see more death, more arguing, more opportunity for people to take advantage of this country or that country. All of this stuff. I don't want any of it. I mean, like, really, if Mexico attacked the U.S., would we expect Israel to come and help us out? I don't think so. Religious arguments aren't fair to make. Strawman, I'm talking about basic human rights. Who made? Because typically I would agree with you, but the notion of human rights are not incompatible or exclusive from religious arguments. But so he says in the Middle East, no, because there are bosses there. They won't stop until being told to. Okay, then they don't stop and they win. That's war. You win or you lose. There's no way that this ends up with everybody happy. That's not an option. Sam says, I hope this stops ASAP. But yes, if we enter the war, it will be all out. I hope so. I hope they don't start feeding, 1,000 troops here, 1,000 troops there. Then they die and they send some more. Then they send more money. And No. Take 10% of everything I make this year, put it into one bomb, and blow this shit to hell. It's been 100 years. It's been 100 years. How much longer are we expected to do this? Shout out to Donnie Biolinfog. Donnie Biolinfog? Sorry about that if I'm mispronouncing. Said Israeli tanks are amassing on the border. Escalation. Yes, I firmly believe World War II ended when we swung a big-ass stick and the last retard standing. Yup. CT said, someone commented that Jews aren't allowed to pray on their holy land. That's what I was referring to. Gotcha. Thank you. Lucy says, the history writers get to decide when the war started. Well, I mean, it depends. That's the way of the world. That's the way of the world. Exactly. That has been true forever, and it will continue. It will continue to be true. Unfortunately, I wish we could live in a happy-go-lucky butterflies and rainbows utopian world, but we don't. And the sooner we all realize that, the better off we're all going to be. So thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. I really did appreciate this one. I didn't know how it was going to go because, like I said, it's a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but you guys definitely came through for me. Big shout out to Steve for the $5 super chat. And of course, the sponsor, once again, sponsor of the stream, Indie Film. Thank you so much. Each and every one of you guys, each and every one of you guys, even if you couldn't, donate, that is totally fine. The fact that you're here, the fact that you're hanging out, the fact that you're part of the conversation means everything to me. So thank you so much for being here. And we are headed right over to Discord for the after party. All you have to do is join to become a member. The Discord is free. If one of the mods could drop the a link to the Discord, there is a free channel where you can hang out and meet people. But if you want to be part of the entire server, including the voice chat with the after party, just sign up. Starts at $2.99 a month. I mean, come on, that ain't nothing. So come on over. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. Once again, I have been your host, Lutch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, I am out of here. Peace.